Chapter 2431 Explosive Boss. Chapter 2431 Explosive Boss. The gates of hell opened, revealing a hideous face. It was impossible to describe just what was slowly crawling out from within. In an instant, the surrounding aura suddenly changed. Ghastly figures filled the entire ancient city. Sandy Man's gaze tensed up. Seeing something that slowly crawled out of the dark space, his expression also secretly became shocked. What is this? Never seen it. Long Fei felt the chi on the level 1 Ghost Emperor's body. His blood was boiling as he said excitedly, "This is the thing that wants your life." Buzz. With a hum, the Ghost Emperor crawled out of the darkness, a black dagger in his hand. His eyes were empty. An aura of death permeated his entire body. It was like a death god that controlled life and death. However, the feeling Long Fei got was that this guy was much stronger than the god of death. Sandy Man's eyes darkened as he said coldly, "I told you before, this is the world that I created. I am the king here, and I am an immortal existence." As soon as he finished, Sandy Man moved his hands. Hualala. Hualala. Endless amounts of sand gushed out like a fountain. Bam! Bam! It shot up from the ground and surrounded the level 1 Ghost Emperor, forming a cage. The Sandy Man laughed coldly and said, "Graveyard, die for me." Rumble. 8 sands directly pounced towards the Ghost Emperor, wrapping around him. At that moment, Sandy Man stretched out his right hand and laughed sinisterly, his 5 fingers fiercely clenched. Explode. The sand that was wrapping around the Ghost Emperor suddenly shrunk. Catcher, catcher, catcher. It sounded like the sound of bones breaking. The sand was continuously being squeezed. If it was Long Fei, he suspected that he was already dead. He could feel the power in the sand. It was as if he was at the bottom of the ocean, 10,000 meters deep, and it would explode in an instant. Long Fei's heart tensed up. Just how strong was the Ghost Emperor? He did not know if he could withstand the attacks of the Sandy Man. Long Fei did not know either. This was also the first time he had released the rotten ghost hand to summon the level 1 Ghost Emperor. "Can you block the Sandy Man?" Long Fei wasn't confident either. However, if even a level 1 Ghost Emperor could not stop it, then Long Fei could only wait for death. "Kid. Just this kind of trash. Ha ha ha. In my opinion, it's just a joke, ha ha ha." Sandy Man laughed out loud. No one could withstand his burial. It was the same for the Powerhouse S back then. It exploded in an instant. Long Fei's eyes darkened, he thought, "It's not that bad, right?" Sandy Man laughed complacently. "Brat, what other tricks do you have? Go ahead and use them, as long as you stop being trash, ha ha ha." He was happy today. Because he could feel the aura of the heavenly fire, so he didn't mind accompanying Long Fei to play. However, just as he was laughing gleefully, boom, the sand surrounding the Ghost Emperor suddenly exploded. A figure suddenly burst out from the sand, and in an instant, it landed in front of Sandy Man. In that instant, the Ghost Emperor directly stabbed his hand into Sandy Man's abdomen. With a sudden thrust of his hand, shua, crack, as if grabbing onto the Sandy Man's ribs. At this moment, Poochie Sandy Man immediately spat out a mouthful of blood, his face becoming extremely ugly to behold. Not waiting for a response, the Ghost Emperor's body spasmed. Hualala. From Sandy Man's abdomen came out a pile of sand, which was stained with blood. Sandy Man spat out a mouthful of blood, wa. It was as if his ribs were broken and his internal organs were forcibly pulled out. It was incomparably painful. On the top of his head, that long bloody groove was crazily dropping. His previous attack had reached 1,000,000 points of damage. A fierce batch. Long Fei's eyes flashed as he said excitedly, "Awesome. Ha ha ha. You dare be so arrogant for lousy. Ha ha ha. Who's the trash now?" Long Fei was completely excited. The power that the Ghost Emperor had displayed was too strong. No matter if it was speed or power, it was incomparably strong. Sandy Man simply could not react in time. Sandy Man's face was in pain, his fists clenched tightly, his 2 empty eyes staring straight at the Spirit Emperor, his hands formed blades that pierced towards the Ghost Emperor. Long Fei frowned. The Ghost Emperor did not dodge. Instead, he raised his eyes and instantly changed his speed. Shua. He landed right behind Sandy Man and moved his left hand. The black energy directly pierced into the head of the Sandy Man. Ah! Sandy Man's entire body trembled, and he released a violent cry of pain. The entire ancient city was trembling. It was incomparably terrifying. Shua. The Ghost Emperor ferociously dug again, causing the Sandy Man to shake so badly that half of his head was gone. The blood on the top of his head fell once more. Sandy Man continued to retreat explosively. His entire body was shaking uncontrollably. Longfei said, "Ha ha ha. I'm just going to ask you, who's the King trash right now? Who's the trash?" Sandy Man said in a gloomy voice, "I will kill you. I will tear you into 10,000 pieces." Ah! Boom! Sandy Man instantly exploded out and his body instantly transformed into billions of grains of sand. In the air, a strong wind blew and he rushed towards Longfei. The Ghost Emperor was summoned by Longfei. As long as he killed Longfei, the Ghost Emperor would naturally disappear. Longfei's eyes turned sinister. What the K? Ghost Emperor. The idea moved. Didn't know how to deal with the billions of grains of sand, and he also didn't know what kind of power was contained within them. However, the Ghost Emperor was very clear. Following the movement of Longfei's idea, the Ghost Emperor directly landed in front of Longfei. His hand slightly formed a seal. In the blink of an eye, a sharp light flashed in the black pupils of the Ghost Emperor. At the same time, he rushed forward and grabbed at the air with his left hand. Boom! 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 The trillions of grains of sand in the air instantly condensed, as if bound by a powerful force. At this time, the Ghost Emperor's left hand grabbed onto Sandy Man's throat. Sandy Man's face changed as he continued to struggle but was unable to break free. Longfei exclaimed in his heart once again, "Ghost Emperor, awesome." In that moment, grabbing onto Sandy Man's throat in an instant showed how powerful he was. Now, Longfei was relieved. As long as the Ghost Emperor was here, a mere Sandy Man was nothing. He could easily cause a ruckus. Moreover, he made a very big decision in his heart. Even if it was even more unbearable than eating Xiong, he still wanted to cultivate Rotten Ghost Hand to the highest level. The level 1 Ghost Emperor was so powerful. What about the level 9 Ghost Emperor? What about the divine level Ghost Emperor? How strong would it be? Longfei was really looking forward to it. Boom! The Ghost Emperor grabbed Sandy Man's throat and smashed him down from the sky, pressing him down onto the ground. With a movement of his right hand, he raised the black stinger into the air. To the heart of Sandy Man, he pierced down fiercely. Longfei's heart trembled. It's going to explode. Chapter 2432 Phantom Emperor Mutation. Chapter 2432 Phantom Emperor Mutation. It's going to explode. Ha ha ha. It's going to explode soon. The black spike in the Ghost Emperor's hand was like a sharp black stone. It was always in his hand. He was definitely waiting for the right moment. Now the time had come. This attack was definitely going to take Sandy Man's life. Longfei could not hold it in anymore. He was excited in his heart. "You're not going to die. Even if I don't die, I'll kill you. Ha ha ha. Explode for me." He let out a loud roar. The black spear in the Ghost Emperor's hand pierced down heavily. The Sandy Man let out a ferocious scream. "No, no, don't." Ah! The black spike fell down, and like a coffin nail, it nailed the Sandy Man's heart down to the ground. At the same time, the blood on top of Sandy Man's head suddenly turned into 0. This strike. Instant kill. Longfei saw that his HP had dropped to 0, and his heart was boiling with excitement. Ha ha ha. Acting cool to me. This is the result. Bring it on. A massive drop, right? This awesome boss should be able to drop some good items, right? Ha ha ha. Wait. Right at this moment, Longfei directly took out a double experience scroll from the space ring and crushed it. Ding. System notification. Double experience has been unlocked. Time, 180 seconds. That's even better. Ha ha ha. Longfei prepared everything and waited quietly, but he did not. After waiting for a full 10 seconds, the system had no reaction. There were no prompts. Nothing dropped. Nothing. Long Fei's heart became heavy. Walking to the Ghost Emperor's side, looking at the slowly withering sandy man on the ground, Long Fei ruthlessly stomped his foot down. F***CK, explode for me, Hualala. With one kick, Sandy Man's head exploded. It was also at this moment. Sandy Man's body seemed to have turned into a pile of sand. A gentle breeze blew, causing sand to swirl in the air. All that was left was a human shaped of sand, and nothing else. Long Fei's heart tightened as he exclaimed in his heart, "Not good." At this time, the Ghost Emperor raised his eyes and stared at a spot in the sky. Woo-ha-ha-ha. Fierce, terrifying, and savage laughter. "I'm not going to die. This is my world, no one can kill me." Sandy Man appeared again, and the aura on his body was extremely dense, without the slightest hint of injury. The health bar on his head was also full. Long Fei's heart tightened. Not die? He thought about what Kai Lina had said. No matter how they fought, they wouldn't die. Impossible. There is no one in this world who can escape the life and death law, even the king of hell who controls the law of death is the same. Long Fei firmly believed that there was no such thing as an absolute immortality. He just couldn't find his weakness. Long Fei's eyes narrowed, and said, "Ghost Emperor." Shua. The Ghost Emperor charged forward and disappeared in the blink of an eye. In the next second, he was right in front of Sandy Man. Without giving him any time to react, a strong force directly crushed him down from the sky. Boom. He pressed down on the ground once more and fiercely thrust the black spike in his hand. Rumble. Ah! Sandy Man let out another blood-curdling screech. The bloody wound on his head had hit the bottom again, and his entire body had stiffened. Died again. But, in the next second, a clump of sand congealed in midair. Sandy Man appeared once again, laughing sinisterly. "Ha ha ha. You want to kill me? No one can, kid. A lowly human like you. If the monster you summoned didn't have some power, you would have been a dried corpse long time ago. However, the monster you summoned can't stay here for too long. When it disappears, it will be your death. Don't worry, I won't let you become a desiccated corpse. I'm going to skin you, I'm going to inject sand into your veins, I'm going to make you suffer for your entire life. Ha ha ha." Sandy Man laughed crazily. At the same time, he was also furious. He couldn't find a way to deal with the Ghost Emperor. However, he was very clear that these summoned monsters all had a fatal weakness, and that was the time limit. As long as the Ghost Emperor's time passed, he would rule the world. Long Fei's heart tightened. The Sandy Man was right, the Ghost Emperor was not his beast. It was just a product of cultivating a cultivation technique to a certain level. It could be said to be a beast summoning. There is a time limit. Moreover, right now, more than half of the time had already passed and it was about time for the Ghost Emperor to disappear. At that time, Long Fei frowned. "If you want to kill him, you must find his weakness. His weakness. San's weakness." Suddenly, Long Fei's eyes flashed with a light as he said excitedly, "Water." Just now, killing the golden giant was also using water. As long as there was water, the sand would not turn into sand and split apart. As long as there was water, the Sandy Man's life soul would be locked inside his body and he would be sucked dry. And then, Long Fei moved, walking up to the Ghost Emperor, holding onto the black thorn in one hand, he slashed fiercely. Fresh blood dripped out, wrapping around the black spike. However, the moment Long Fei's blood flowed out, the Ghost Emperor, who did not have much of an expression on his face, was suddenly startled. His body couldn't help but tremble. It was as if he was afraid. Fear. At the same time, he seemed excited. Long Fei did not notice. Compared to before, the Ghost Emperor was beginning to look different. "Humph." The Sandy Man snorted and said, "Useless trash. Do you think your blood is water? Do you think you can kill me like this? You are too naive." He was not finished. The Ghost Emperor suddenly rose up from the ground. Shua. It was as if he had received a strong stimulus, as if he was enraged. Even Long Fei was a little confused. However, when the Ghost Emperor suddenly became strong, Long Fei became even more excited. In an instant, The Ghost Emperor landed in front of Sandy Man, and like a black hole, he glared at him. A boundless pressure, and boundless rage, instantly crushed the Sandy Man to the point that he couldn't move at all. Sandy Man's expression became incomparably terrified, as if he had seen the most terrifying thing in the world. Trembling. His heart trembled. His sea of consciousness was trembling. In front of the Ghost Emperor, the Sandy Man was suddenly as small as a grain of sand. Not in the beginning, but now suddenly. You can't imagine what happened. Long Fei was also a little confused. Logically speaking, the Ghost Emperor was affected by the level change, and the higher his level was, the stronger his power would be. However, he was still a level 1 Ghost Emperor, so his power should not have any changes. Why? How did the moment I touched Long Fei's blood, it would become like this? Long Fei's blood gave him strength. No. Long Fei's blood Ghost Emperor did not absorb it, and his power would not change. But why was there a mutation? The blood was definitely because of the blood, but why on earth? What did the Ghost Emperor sense from Long Fei's blood? At this moment, Long Fei did not have time to think about this. Kill him. Chapter 2433 Fusion of Heavenly Flames. Chapter 2433 Fusion of Heavenly Flames. Who cares why the Ghost Emperor changed his mind? What Long Fei wanted was to explode. It was all thanks to the boss experience. As for those things he didn't understand, he didn't want to waste his time thinking about them. Kill him. Kill him. Long Fei screamed with all his might, because immediately, the time to summon the Ghost Emperor arrived. If he did not kill him now, then Long Fei would be the one to die immediately. He gave the order. The Ghost Emperor did not stop at all. The black thorn in his hand brought with it Long Fei's fresh blood as he stabbed towards the Sandy Man. Long Fei's eyes lit up. He became excited. That should be fine, right? Rumble. Rumble was crushed from the air as he fell. His eyes were filled with fear as his body trembled, and he continuously bellowed, "No, no, no." Bang. His body fell heavily to the ground, creating a deep crater. Without waiting for Sandy Man to get up from the ground, the Ghost Emperor thrusted the black thorn in his hand downwards. With a heavy voice, he uttered, "Die." This was the first time the Ghost Emperor spoke up. Long Fei was startled. "Aha, you can talk? Why didn't you say anything at the start?" He didn't think too much about it. Because right now, he was at his most nervous, and the fact that Sandy Man was so terrified showed that he was extremely afraid, which meant that this strike could definitely take his life. As Long Fei watched with wide eyes, he became more and more anxious in his heart. Quick, 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 quick. Time. It was too late. The black thorn in the Ghost Emperor's hand pierced down. Sandy Man's body suddenly shot out, releasing a sound as if he was howling from hell. Ah! At this moment, a system announcement suddenly sounded out in Long Fei's mind. Ding! System notification. The time for the Ghost Emperor to summon you has ended. Long Fei's gaze tensed up as he cursed, F***CK. Because. At this moment, the black thorn in the Ghost Emperor's hand did not pierce into Sandy Man's heart completely, it only pierced down by 1/3, and the blood on the top of Sandy Man's head had been cut off by 1/3. The time to summon the Ghost Emperor had come. In the next moment, all of the power in its body would disappear and its body would be left in the void of darkness by the seal. The instant the system beep landed, Long Fei's eyes darkened. System, you trashy person, damn your ancestors. Give them 1 more second. 1 second was enough for the Ghost Emperor to kill Sandy Man. But a time limit was a time limit. Let alone a second, the system would not even give him a time limit of 1/1,000,000th of a second because the system was an AI. Simply put, he was a program. There would be no emotions in it. As time passed, the figure of the Ghost Emperor started to turn into a blur, and all the power in his body had already disappeared. But the black thorn that had pierced Sandy Man's heart did not completely disappear. Long Fei didn't care so much. The strength of the 9th level of the spirit refinement realm was fully unleashed to its peak, and also at this moment, arrogant god energy value, explode for me. Boom. The power of a god of berserkers was superimposed. Long Fei immediately displayed his strength to his peak condition. He took a step forward. In a flash, it landed right on top of Sandy Man's heart area and struck down fiercely. Die. As long as the black thorns pierced through Sandy Man's heart, he would definitely die this time. Now was only a tiny bit away from Sandy Man's death. Long Fei's fists were like hammers smashing down. It was just a little bit away, just a little bit more. However, after the Sandy Man let out a painful howl, he felt that the strong power had not all fallen down. His eyes darkened, and seeing that the body of the Ghost Emperor had turned into an illusion and a black spatial vortex had appeared behind the Ghost Emperor's back, his eyes darkened as he laughed maniacally. Ha ha ha. Ha ha ha. Is the summoning time over? Is it my turn now? Laughter. He felt a sense of excitement, as if he had narrowly escaped death. However, his heart was in extreme pain. Seeing Long Fei being smashed down so heavily, Sandy Man's eyes grew sinister. Trash, with just you. Boom. His right hand moved, and sand rolled on his palm. Not waiting for Long Fei to fall, a lump of sand directly knocked Long Fei flying. Boom. Long Fei was flung hundreds of meters away and fell to the ground, blood leaking from his mouth. He felt displeased. He sprung up from the ground, and looked at Sandy Man who was slowly getting up from the ground, and his heart secretly sank. This is bad. Ah! Sandy Man roared. He used his hand to grab the black thorn and pulled it out. Ah! Another series of painful cries rang out. The instant the black thorn was pulled out, a dark green liquid gushed out crazily. At this time, the surrounding sand was also crazily filling up the gap. Hoo 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 hoo. Hoo 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 hoo. Sandy Man took a deep breath. Looking at the Ghost Emperor who was about to be sucked into the void, his gaze shifted to Long Fei. His eyes were filled with rage and killing intent. You want to kill me? Lowly ant. Now, I will let you live in torment for all eternity. Sandstorm. Rise. He lowered both of his hands and made a grabbing motion towards the ground. 2 sandstorm winds rose up, and he raised both of his hands. Boom. The sandstorm had turned into a hurricane and was constantly making choices, causing everything around it to tremble. Long Fei was unable to stand steadily and his body was constantly moving, as if he was about to be swept up into the storm by the 2 sandstorms. What should I do? The Ghost Emperor was about to disappear. He could no longer rely on it. Right now, Long Fei could only rely on himself. His mind began to race. The instant before the Ghost Emperor was engulfed by the darkness of the void, a voice resounded in his mind, heaven flames, sky fire. Long Fei looked at the disappeared Ghost Emperor. Sky fire can kill Sandy Man? Sky fire is of the fire attribute. Sandy Man's weakness should be in water attributions attacks. The fire attribute can't be dealt with. Actually, Long Fei did not know what kind of power was contained in his fresh blood. Sandy Man was not afraid of water. What he was afraid of was the power that the Ghost Emperor had exploded out just now, and the reason why the Ghost Emperor had exploded out such a ferocious power was not because Long Fei's blood had given him power, but because of the power contained within Long Fei's blood. The aura of a king, the strength of a king of the ancient inheritance. This made the Ghost Emperor think of a person who once turned him from a little ghost into a Ghost Emperor. To be exact, it should be his master. It was also because of this that the Ghost Emperor had released a power that far exceeded that of a level 1 Ghost Emperor, which was why his pressure was firmly suppressing Sandy Man. However, he was still lacking a little bit, and now he could only rely on Long Fei. F***CK. Long Fei didn't have time to care about all this. I'm already going to die, who cares about the ancient heaven flames or what? In an instant, Long Fei took out the black iron box that held the sky fire. I don't know how to use it. His eyes turned vicious. I don't care. The left fist moved, heavily smashing down. The black box caved in, and within the cracks, streams of flames started to climb up like tiny swimming dragons, filling Long Fei's entire left arm. Thank you for your support. Chapter 2434 was 2F** King Cool. Chapter 2434 was 2F** King Cool. / As the threads of flame coiled around his body, Long Fei's left sleeve instantly combusted and these threads of fire coiled around his entire left arm, as if each of his tendons had turned into a flame. It continued to emit ear-piercing hissing sounds. It was like burning red-hot iron in cold water. Ah! Long Fei let out a painful cry, his pupils were unfocused, his left fist went to his mind, then his entire body. It was as though he was being sucked into an iron box by a powerful force. When the flames coiled around his left arm like slithering silk and kept spiraling up, his left arm seemed to be burning. That sort of feeling was extremely painful. Except pain. There was also a powerful force growing on his left arm. This feeling. Excited. Strength. As the punch landed, it was as if he had broken through a source of energy. Flames swirled around him, as if his strength was burning and twisting, growing and expanding on his left arm. This feeling was indescribably wonderful. In short, he was in pain and happy. On the other side, when Sandy Man saw Long Fei shattering the metal box, he only sneered in the beginning because he knew that no one other than him could control the heaven flames in the iron box. Long Fei was courting death. But when the heavenly fire in the metal box turned into threads of flame and coiled around Long Fei's left arm as if it had life, he became terrified. His eyes trembled. Just like a madman who went mad, he cried out unceasingly, "No, no, that's impossible, that's impossible. Other than me, no one else can control the heaven flame." Ah! Instant rage. Sandy Man stared straight at Long Fei, his right hand moved, and 10,000 grains of sand surged towards Long Fei like a tide. He was enraged to the extreme. Tens of thousands of sand condensed in the air, like a salon, releasing a roar, opening his mouth, falling from the sky, directly towards Long Fei's head. Long Fei's eyes darkened. He pulled with his left hand. Buzz! A flash of flame shot out, but it did not remove his left hand from the metal box. The integration was not complete. Not only was he unable to pull his hand out of the metal box, even more importantly, Long Fei's body could not move. Holy **T. Long Fei cursed as he looked at Sharon, who was about to pounce down from the sky. "I'm going to die, I'm going to die. Hurry, hurry, hurry up." Since he couldn't move, Long Fei could only wait for death. Now, the only thing he could rely on was how quickly he could integrate with the heaven flames. He didn't know why the Ghost Emperor would say the word sky flames before he left. However, now he understood. The power of the sky fire was enough to kill Sandy Man. The moment Long Fei merged with the heavenly fire, fear appeared in the Sandy Man's eyes. One could imagine. He was afraid of the heaven flames. As long as he fused with the heavenly fire, he would be able to defeat it. "Hurry up! Hurry up!" Long Fei roared. As he watched the slivers of flames rise up little by little, every trace of Long Fei's fist, from his elbow to the bone, became incomparably scarlet. "Hurry, hurry, brother, hurry up!" Long Fei urged in his heart. Sandy Man moved. Roar! A super salon appeared beneath his feet. It was churning crazily, looking at Long Fei who was motionless on the spot. It laughed sinisterly. "It's useless. You can't withstand the power of the heaven flame at all. You're going to die soon, ha ha ha." He was crazily approaching them. At the same time, Sandy Man was incomparably shocked in his heart, because how powerful was the heaven flame? Others might not know, but he knew it very well. It was not some kind of heaven punishment but rather the activation of some kind of artifact forging power of taboos by the ancient Sand Moon tribe in pursuit of the highest realm of artifact forging. However, the heavenly fire lost control and began to burn. After burning it for who knows how many years, in these long years, the ancient Sand Moon tribe had always struggled to subdue the heavenly fire, and only after 100,000 years did they finally manage to do so. But he couldn't control it. Its power was too powerful, capable of burning away everything in the world. It was only at that time that it was created, and it was only used to control the heavenly fire. It also had the power of the heavenly fire. It was just that. If he wanted to compete with the heaven flame's profound chi, the heaven flame's power would be as weak as an invisible ant. The ancient Sand Moon tribe was an ancient artifact forging clan. Their control over fire could be said to be extremely strong, and no one on this plane was able to withstand the fire that even they were unable to withstand. Long Fei was definitely going to die. But now, not only was he not dead, but the rate at which the heavenly fire was burning was incredibly slow. Why was this so? Could it be Long Fei's body was stronger than sky fire? To fuse with the heaven flames was much more important than fusing with one's heart. However, the current sky fire could only wrap around Long Fei's left arm, it could not enter his mind at all. This was an impossible task, the human body could not endure it, and even if it could, Long Fei would become a fireman. The Sandy Man did not understand. However, he didn't want to understand, because Long Fei was about to die. The Sharon roared and swallowed. As long as he was buried by the sand, even if Long Fei had 10 lives, it wouldn't be enough to kill him. Ha ha ha. Ah, ha, ha. The heaven flame is mine. It's mine. Everything is mine. Sandy Man laughed crazily, and the entire primordial city was trembling. Those people who were tied up by the sand chains all looked at Long Fei. Transformers bellowed, "Boss, run." Kai Lina also shouted loudly, "Long Fei, run. Run." Long Fei also wanted to, but he couldn't move at all right now. His left fist was still firmly sucked into the iron box. The flames were still crazily exploding and wrapping around his left arm. Seeing that the salon above was about to bite down, Long Fei gritted his teeth, which made a cracking sound as his right fist clenched tightly. Ah! Hurry the F***K up. At this moment, the flame on the metal box suddenly disappeared. Long Fei's body regained its freedom. But, on his left arm, his entire left arm was burning. Other than the flames, he could see that his left arm was extremely red. This bastard. Could it be the legendary Chilean arm? Who cares what you are? Bang! Long Fei's eyes turned sinister as he stared at the black hole in front of him. With his left arm lowered, he rose from the ground and pounced towards Sharon's throat. Ah! Long Fei roared. Rumble. 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 Deafening sounds continuously exploded as Long Fei directly pierced through Sharon's throat and continuously released lightning from his body as he went berserk along the way. That scene. It was like a kitchen knife chopping down on a high-voltage line. Rumble. A loud sound rang out and Sharon fell to the ground. It turned into a pile of sand. Long Fei let out a heavy breath in his heart. In that instant earlier, the power on his left arm exploded forth. Ha ha ha. His eyes darkened, and stared straight at Sandy Man, who was in a daze. Lifting his finger, the burning finger pointed at Sandy Man's nose, and laughed sinisterly. It's your turn. Chapter 2435, Great Techniques. Big Fire Ring, Flame Emperor. Chapter 2435, Great Techniques. Big Fire Ring, Flame Emperor. It's your turn. Savage beyond compare. Incomparable dominance. His imposing manner was like a king who looked down on everything. His hair was in disarray, his hair was flying in the air, his left arm was burning, and he was floating in the air. Looking at the flame on Long Fei's left arm, he shook his head and said, "Impossible, impossible, absolutely impossible. Humans are simply unable to fuse with the heavenly fire. They can't withstand it at all. This is impossible." Not only was the fusion successful, Skyfire could at most fuse with one of Long Fei's arm. What did this mean? This meant that the strength in Long Fei's body was far stronger than the heavenly fire. Princess Sand Moon's clansmen were also confused. He can actually fuse the heaven flame, and with just a single hand. This is too unbelievable, no one can do it, Princess Sand Moon frowned. As a member of the weapon refining clan, their control over fire could be said to be unrivaled. However, so many of their ancestors had died in the heavenly flame. However, the human in front of him was able to fuse one hand. It was hard to imagine. Princess Sand Moon looked at Long Fei, his heart filled with incomparable shock, and at the same time, she was also worried, because Long Fei had only merged with the Skyfire. Could he unleash the power of the Skyfire? Sandy Man was an immortal existence. If Long Fei was unable to fully control the Skyfire, then the final winner would still be Sandy Man. At the same time, he would be able to absorb the Skyfire from Long Fei's body. At that time, the entire wilderness would turn into a sea of fire. Under normal circumstances, no matter what kind of power it was, it would take a long time to cultivate and familiarize oneself with it before they could unleash their full power. However, it was someone else. Long Fei felt that there was no need at all. Because there was a mark on his left arm, and he felt that the Ming clan mark could directly boost the power of the heavenly fire to its peak. Sandy Man stared at Long Fei, his expression returning to normal, his hands forming claws, grabbing the air. Boom, boom, boom. On the ground of the ancient city, sand wildly gathered, condensed, and formed an incomparably savage demon beast. It was incomparably huge. The Sandy Man moved slightly and landed on top of the demon beast's head. She stared at Long Fei and said, "Even if you fuse with the heaven flame, you will still die. Brat, wake up. Sand demon." Boom. The gigantic demon beast slightly raised its foot. Whoosh. A bolt of lightning struck down and disappeared from where he stood. It also instantly appeared in front of Long Fei and crossed its arms. It was as though two gigantic sand walls were crushing down on them. His speed was shockingly fast. Long Fei looked around, took a glance at his burning left arm, and then stared at the Sandy Man above the demon beast's head. "My boss, break it for me." Left fist to clear the way. A charge. Directly straight. The power on his left arm released a flame that soared into the sky the moment it came into contact with the beast's body, directly enveloping the entire beast. Heavenly flames tempering. It was also at this moment that Long Fei's fists shot out like a violent storm. Ah! 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 Bang! 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 It directly charged into the belly of the giant demon. The sand continued to wrap around and sink down, trying to bind Long Fei. As for Long Fei, not at all. After charging into the huge beast's abdomen, it began to violently bombard upwards, from its abdomen all the way to its neck, and then upwards again, directly smashing into its head. In the process, Long Fei only used a second. "Explode for me." Flames burst out from the sand, and the gigantic demon beast was completely destroyed. Its fist also landed at Sandy Man's feet. Sandy Man's eyes turned sinister as he instantly flew out. Long Fei quickly followed. Hualala. The gigantic sand demon beast instantly crumbled and let out a pitiful cry as it died. The flames on its body retracted, and once again returned to Long Fei's arm. This was the power of the heavenly fire. As long as he was hit, even if the Sandy Man's power could revive him, it was useless. The sand on the demon beast's body would all be burnt into slag. It was just like being purified. "Flee." Long Fei smirked. "Aren't you very arrogant? Isn't he definitely not going to die? Isn't this the world you created? Didn't you say that you are the king here? How can you be a dog now?" Long Fei laughed in disdain. He never thought that Long Fei would be able to unleash the power of the sky fire to such a level. As long as he met even the slightest of it. Both of his fists were clenched tightly, causing the sand in Sandy Man's hands to frantically lock tightly together with an explosive sound. And then, Sandy Man's body sank, he raised his head and roared, "Heavenly sand burial. Bring it on. Let me show you what is called the power of destruction." Ah! Following his furious roar, the entire ancient city crumbled continuously, turning into sand. In the blink of an eye, a huge city turned into an endless desert. Sand flew everywhere. The sand was like knives. Those hanging in the air could not bear it at all. A grain of sand blew past and pierced through their bodies. Ah! It hurts. Help! Several of Sand Moon Tribe's clansmen had instantly died. Transformers and Kai Lina were slightly better. Although the sand could not penetrate their bodies were covered with fresh blood that surged out madly. When Princess Sand Moon saw this situation, her body trembled and she shouted loudly, "Stop him, otherwise, everyone will die. Faster. Quick, quick, quick. Stop him. Save us, save us." Princess Sand Moon called out anxiously, looking at the surroundings which had turned into yellow sand, then looking at the power in Sandy Man's body. "Heavenly sand burial, heavenly sand burial. How could it be, how could it be? This is a forbidden power, how could it be?" Boom! An earth-shattering sound exploded out. All the sand flew into the air. The sky that was made up of sand seemed like the ground had turned upside down. Long Fei looked at the top of his head, and his mind also tensed up a little. What the F***K? The scene was too eye-catching. The sky was full of sand. If they were to roll down, just like Princess Sand Moon had said, all of them would die. Sandy Man laughed wildly in excitement. Ha ha ha. Ha ha ha. Boy, you asked for all of this, ha ha ha. Become part of my sand. God explosion. Fall. The sand in the sky suddenly sank down, bombarding down heavily, as if the sky was collapsing. Sandy Man was laughing maniacally. Long Fei's eyebrows were tightly locked. He glanced at his left arm and muttered, "You also have a big move, right? What's your big move? Let me experience it." The idea moved. He entered his left arm. At this moment, Long Fei raised his left arm and pointed it at the sky. His index finger moved. He snapped his fingers. Crack! The flame on his index finger turned into a ball of fire, and at the same time, the ball of fire suddenly soared into the sky, taking the shape of a gigantic ball of fire. Long Fei took a glance at it, and his entire person was stunned. Damn, what is this? The Flame Emperor of the Big Fire Ring of Ace. Chapter 2436, You Bastard. Explode for me. Chapter 2436, You Bastard. Explode for me. Axios, Flame Emperor? Was the heaven flame a flaming fruit? None of this mattered. The most important thing was, this scene caused the wind to blow. Moreover, it was exactly the same as the big fire ring of the Flame Emperor. Awesome. Long Fei was shocked himself. He looked at the huge flame above his head. This was the power of the heavenly fire on his Chilean arm. Sandy Man was also stunned. Gritting his teeth, he stared straight at Long Fei, as though he had a blood feud with Long Fei, and could not wait to tear Long Fei into 10,000 pieces, and growled sinisterly, "Impossible. You've only just merged with it, it's impossible for you to unleash such powerful energy. Impossible," he shouted. Sandy Man was even more berserk. The sky above Shuo Tian fiercely rolled down. "Brat, go and die." The sky collapsed. Endless sand rained down towards Long Fei. To any of the people here, the power they felt was like the sky collapsing, and they could not endure it at all. Long Fei felt the power within the huge fireball and was wild with excitement. Staring at Sandy Man, who was howling crazily, he said, "Kill this daddy? Hee hee. Let's see who kills who." And then, Long Fei's heart moved, and he thought to himself, "No matter what name this move of yours is called, when it comes to me, your name will be Big Fire Ring. Bring it on." Long Fei's left hand moved, lifting up an enormous ball of fire. As the power in his body surged, the veins on his forehead popped out, and he also let out a furious shout, "Big Fire Ring, explode!" Rumble. Flames covered the sky and swept out in a berserk manner. Fire on one side and sand on the other. It was as though the two planes of the universe were clashing against each other. That scene. It could not be described with words. The power was churning, everything was churning. Long Fei released all of the true essence in his body and injected it into the flames. He roared with all his might and charged with all his might, as if he was using all of his strength to resist the collapse of the heavens. The Sandy Man was also roaring. His expression was one of incomparable pain. The sand crazily wrapped around and rolled down, but it was blocked by the flames Long Fei released, and also, the sand that was burned by the flames turned deathly grey and kept falling down from the sky. He could no longer control this sand. A decline of tons per ton. Sandy Man was panicking as he looked at the huge flames. Immediately, a drop of fire-like liquid emerged from between Sandy Man's eyebrows. The space between his eyebrows deepened. The liquid fell onto the ground, creating a giant formation that covered the entire area. At the same time, the Sandy Man chanted softly, "Savage desert." The entire desert was trembling, and like an ocean on a hurricane, it began to wreak havoc, a huge sandstorm engulfing everything. And there were more than one of them, and the whole desert was moving. All the sand in the desert was moving toward a ravine. Princess Sand Moon shouted, his activating the power of taboos. Quick, quick, quickly stop him, quick. Sandy Man laughed sinisterly, and said, "This is the desert, and this is the world I created. In my world, I am the king, ha ha ha. Even if you merge with the heaven flame, I can kill you too. Ha ha ha. Come out." Desert Death God Sandy Man was trembling from head to toe. He had channeled all of his power. He wanted to kill Long Fei. He was going to destroy everything in this place, at all costs, even if it meant death. The desert surged. The power that seemed to come from another world was incomparably huge. Long Fei's heart tensed up. It was already difficult to deal with the Sandy Man. If another otherworldly monster appeared, then I really have to answer it here. Immediately. Long Fei clenched his right fist. "Bring me the sword." Shua. The sky sword landed in his hands. He tightly gripped the sky sword's body with his left hand and fiercely pulled. Swish. Blood and flames immediately set the sky sword on fire. At this moment, the sky sword seemed to have recovered in an instant. Not only that, the energy in the sword became denser and stronger. Buzz, buzz, buzz. The strange lights went berserk and wreaked havoc. Long Fei was also shocked. He only wanted the sky sword to attach the power of the heaven flame to it, but did not expect it to suddenly awaken. Could it have been repaired? Or was it because he sensed danger? Because of Long Fei's blood. Last time the sky sword was heavily injured in the secret world, it would take at least 10 to 8 years before it could completely recover. Because of Long Fei's blood, she could recover her strength after absorbing just a little bit of it. Strange lights flashed. The move of the sky code appeared in Long Fei's mind. Moreover, last time Long Fei used the universal soul, the sky sword absorbed a lot of it and directly activated the second level of the sky code. At this moment, Long Fei was too lazy to think about the sky sword becoming stronger. Looking at the sword, he said excitedly, "It's good that you are back. Now that you are back, follow me to kill everyone." He exerted force with his right hand. Buzz. Strange light shot out. With the support of the heaven flame, the sky sword became a gigantic fire sword. Long Fei's eyes turned sinister. Raising his right hand, the sky sword pointed at Sandy Man and coldly spat out one word, "Die." Shua. His body suddenly charged forward. It was like a streak of fiery lightning. Sky code, second form. Sky splitting. One sword to defy the heavens. The sky sword moved, causing the sky to sink, and a huge force to condense above the sky sword. At this moment, the sword's cry shook the heavens. In the Dragon Abyss dungeon, Long Zhanting, who had his body pierced by the black chain, suddenly raised his head, his eyes flashed with light and he became extremely excited. Sky code, second move. Feia. Excited. Sky code was extremely difficult to cultivate. If one did not cultivate the first move well, the second move would not be activated at all. Even he was only able to cultivate the seventh move. He didn't have enough strength. However, Long Fei only needed a few short months to cultivate out the second style. At this moment, Long Zhanting laughed wildly with his head raised. "Ha ha ha. Ha ha ha. My son is a genius, a peerless genius. Ha ha ha." Wild laughter came from the Dragon Abyss dungeon. Tears filled the corners of his eyes. Laughter. Zhenwu continent. In the depths of the savage desert valley, the sky sword moved. With a thrust, Long Fei directly passed through the Sandy Man. It was as if the entire energy of the sky was superimposing on the sky sword. He could feel the power of the entire sky. Poochie Sandy Man spat out a mouthful of blood, his body slightly trembled, and the sand on his body began to fall. Long Fei, who was standing behind him, smiled and asked in an extremely arrogant manner, "You're not going to die? Eternal life. Now, if you don't want to die, let me see. Ha ha ha. You dare to act so arrogantly with me and act so arrogantly with me? You bastard, go ahead and explode for lousy." Chapter 2437 Explosive Hualala. Chapter 2437 Explosive Hualala Hualala. 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 Collapse. It was collapsing completely. The sand in the sky was crumbling, the sand in the desolate desert was crumbling, and the monster summoned by the power of taboos of another realm was crumbling as well. The most important thing was, the sandy man itself was collapsing. He was like a statue that couldn't take the power anymore. His entire body was petrified and was constantly cracking. He wanted to turn around and look at Long Fei, but there was a thin sword wound on his chest. The fire burned on the wound. At this moment, his entire body was cracking, and he couldn't withstand this kind of power. At this moment, he felt death. You. Just who are you? Sandy Man said with a trembling voice. He wanted to know who he had died to, but he was unwilling. Because he did not die in the hands of the ancient Sand Moon Tribes, he did not die in the hands of the Magic Tribes, he died in the hands of a human instead. Long Fei smiled faintly and said, "Is it important?" Sandy Man, who seemed to be giving his all, asked, "Tell me." Long Fei grinned, "I'm your father, stop being so long-winded, go ahead and explode." Long Fei couldn't wait any longer. After saying that, he kicked it with his foot, ruthlessly contemptuous, "Wasting your father's time." Bam! Sandy Man's body exploded. It was as if his soul was being devoured by a black hole as a blood-curdling scream sounded out in the air. No. At this moment, when the system beep rang out, Long Fei's expression tensed up, and his heart tensed up. Explode, I have to get something good out. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing Forbidden Sand Demon for obtaining 100 million experience points, 100 million true chi points, and 20 arrogant god energy value points. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining secret sand control technique. Do you wish to cultivate it? Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining God's destruction. Do you wish to cultivate it? Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining God's fire heart. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining. The system made a series of berserk noises. Every single one of them was at the divine level. The explosion felt too good, and Long Fei felt unspeakably comfortable. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for leveling up. Currently at the first stage of the arrogant form. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for reaching the arrogant form state and obtaining a special reward from the system. Reward item, Tyrant Strength. With the sound of it leveling up, all of the power in Long Fei's body underwent a drastic change. At the same time, his physical body underwent a huge change. Although there was only a difference of one level between the 9th stage of the spirit refinement realm and the first stage of the arrogant form, their strength was completely different, especially the changes in their body. Too obvious. Looking at the reward given by the system, Long Fei said, "Fusion." Ding. System prompt, fusion successful. Item, power of the tyrant body description. After 10% of the player's health point is activated, it will automatically activate. Description 2, activating super armor. Speed, strength, cultivation technique strength increased by 4 times, defense decreased by 4 times, true chi consumption increased by 4 times. Damn. This is King raging. Long Fei was slightly shocked. A 4-fold increase in power was a little fierce, and not only did it increase one's body, the damage from the cultivation technique also increased by 4 times. As for the defense, it would be reduced by 4 times. Can defense be eaten? There had never been a defense in Long Fei's world. As for the true chi, then there was even less of a need to worry. Long Fei had limitless true chi value, so he did not need to worry about the true chi at all. Cultivate the secret sand control technique, Long Fei ordered again. The sandy man was actually not that strong. What he was strong about was his ability to control the sand. In this desert, he could be said to be invincible by using sand as a weapon. Even after several deaths, he was still revived due to the power of the sand. It dropped. As long as it was a place with sand, Long Fei would be able to wield a strong power. As long as there was enough sand, it would be able to unleash the power of the god Sky Burial. He might even be able to release that power of taboos. God's fire heart. Long Fei looked at the fire-like flame in the system space, and was a little puzzled in his heart. The heavenly fire on Sandy Man's body is a god's fire heart. Then what is the heavenly flame that I have merged with? He could clearly feel that the heaven flame he had fused with was far stronger than the Sandy Man. However, yet God's fire heart burst out from Sandy Man's body. I don't care. Fuse. We can't waste such a good thing, can we? At this moment. Ding. System notification. Fusion failed. What the hell? Long Fei's heart trembled as he said, I can even fuse with the heavenly fire, why can't I fuse with this God's fire heart? Long Fei's left arm was still burning with flames, how could it not fuse? Are you sure? Long Fei tried again. Fusion. Ding. System notification. Fusion failed. F***CK. System your head. What kind of plane is this? Long Fei was a little unhappy. Since it was the God's fire heart, then it must be the strongest part of the Skyfire. He could even fuse with the Skyfire in the iron box, so why couldn't the God's fire heart do the same? Try again. The result was the same. Even if it could not fuse them, the system did not give a reason. Finally, Long Fei could only give up. Rumble. 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 The surroundings started to buzz continuously. The underground space was about to collapse. Long Fei's heart trembled slightly. Save him first. I almost forgot. A few minutes later, the canyon sank and countless grains of sand sank into the ground. The entire desert was shaking, and the entire wilderness was shaking as well. Violent thunderous roars rang out continuously. Huff. Long Fei let out a heavy breath, and asked, Are you all alright? Transformers said naively, It's fine, boss, your last move was too awesome. Kai Lina also looked at Long Fei, but in her heart, Long Fei had become different. Now, she saw hope in Long Fei, perhaps this man can really bring me home. She had not held out hope. Because of Long Fei's character. He was too assertive and too loyal. He wanted to protect anyone around him even if they knew he was going to die. This kind of person would not live long. However, from the looks of it, Long Fei was not the type of person who would not be able to live for long. Kai Lina secretly clenched his fists, and thought, next time, I will do everything I can to protect you. Her strength was not fully unleashed. Princess Sand Moon walked to the side of the canyon and looked at the slowly filling up canyon. It was strange. The entire canyon was filled, but the sacrificial altar in the suspended canyon was like bamboo shoots after a spring rain. It slowly protruded from the sand, as though it was still floating in the air. Long Fei gave Sand Moon people some healing pills and walked forward, asking, What's going on with that altar? The Princess Sand Moon said indifferently, That is not a sacrificial altar, it is our Sand Moon tribe's refining platform. Chapter 2438 Recasting Ju-Q Sword. Chapter 2438 Recasting Ju-Q Sword. At this time, Sand Moon people also walked forward, his eyes full of piety, looking at the stage like a believer. The stage? Blacksmith? Long Fei asked. The Princess Sand Moon nodded. Yes, but it's just that. This is the first time in so many years that I have seen someone being taken over by a slaying demon. Who knows just how many years this stage has been sealed for? Her eyes were a little lonely. The eyes he looked at her with caused Long Fei to think of Yi Yorong. It was the same look. He wanted to make his family rise, but it was full of helplessness, unwillingness, and helplessness. Princess Sand Moon was the same. From the moment she was born, she had been carrying the responsibility of eliminating the Sandy Man-S and allowing the ancient artifact-forging Sand Moon tribe to rise once again. The Sandy Man was too strong, so strong that they were unable to survive in the wilderness. This was also the reason why they wanted to leave. To think that I almost died here. Now that the Sand Moon tribe's enemy was gone, she was not happy at all, because she would never be able to ignite the fire on the altar again. Long Fei said, How do I use this stage? He looks very ordinary. The Princess Sand Moon smiled bitterly and said, It requires God's fire heart to be activated, but Princess Sand Moon looked at Long Fei's left arm. Long Fei's left arm was still burning with flames and the Chilean arm was still in use. The energy of the Skyfire was extremely thick and it looked a little eye-piercing. With one hand on fire, it was hard to walk on the street without attracting attention. Long Fei also looked at his left arm, and thought, isn't it too cool? However, it's really great to be able to attract girls. His left arm was on fire, and the flames were very threatening. He was extremely domineering. Seeing the lonely expression in the Princess Sandmoon's eyes, although Long Fei was reluctant, he directly took out the god's fire heart and asked, is this a god's fire heart? His left hand moved. A flame appeared in his palm. Princess Sandmoon was stunned. At this moment, all of the Sandmoon people behind her kneeled down to the ground and kowtowed. Princess Sandmoon said, didn't you fuse the heavenly fire? Why did you release the god's fire heart again? He looked excited. As long as there were god's fire hearts, they, the Sandmoon tribe, would be able to wield their hammers again. At that time, the weapons that they forged would be famous throughout the entire wild universe. Long Fei said, even after fusing, I can't release it. You can take it. He thought to himself, looks like they don't know that the flames on Sandy Man's body are the god's fire heart, right? Not just them. Even the Sandy Man himself did not know that he had been searching for God's fire heart his entire life, but if he knew that the heaven flame in his body was a God's fire heart, he would probably regret it to death. Princess Sandmoon became even more excited and said, really, really? Your ability to fuse with the heaven flame means that the heaven flame chose you, and you can choose not to return it to us. Long Fei actually wanted to fuse them, but he couldn't fuse it. Transformers also touched Long Fei a little. The idea used the voice transmission technique to ask, boss, what are you returning such a good thing to them for? That big fire ring. Transformers will never forget the power of the giant fireball, which was so powerful that it could even bring lightning, for the rest of his life. If it was the power of the god's fire heart, how could he give it back to them? Long Fei said in a loud voice, take it. It originally belonged to you. What else could it be? It couldn't be fuse. Moreover, the feeling God's fire heart gave Long Fei was not simple. It wasn't because its power wasn't simple, but rather, it was due to its appearance. Why couldn't he fuse them? Long Fei thought of something. Task. The mission of escorting Princess Sandmoon. As long as one reached a high level, they would be able to receive a special reward from the system. This key possibility lay with the god's fire heart. What was the special reward? Long Fei didn't know. Can you get a high ranking? Long Fei did not know either. But Long Fei didn't want to see the lonely and unreconciled look in the Princess Sandmoon's eyes, just like how Yi Yorong wasn't able to choose his own fate. How could such a beauty live in pain? Of course not. Long Fei passed the heaven flame over. Princess Sandmoon picked up a handful of sand from the ground and used this method to receive the god's fire heart. And then, Princess Sandmoon walked towards him, step by step. The clansmen paid their respects. Walking to the refining platform, Princess Sandmoon looked up to the sky, his mouth chanting a few sentences, and then he gently put down the god's fire heart. Immediately, boom! A beam of fire shot into the sky. It was like a pillar of light that shot into the clouds, suddenly exploding in the clouds with incomparable brilliance. At this moment, refining platform was set ablaze. This flame carried an incomparably special power. It was completely different from the flame power on Long Fei's left arm. This was the reason why Long Fei was unable to fuse them. Princess Sandmoon retreated down the stage and to a distance of 3 meters, he kneeled down heavily, kowtowing with tears in his eyes. Then, he slowly stood up and walked over to Long Fei's side, wanting to kneel down. Long Fei held him back and said, I don't need to kneel, it's just a god's fire heart, there's no need for you to kneel. Princess Sandmoon held back his tears and said, thank you. Long Fei laughed, no need for formalities, if you really want to thank me, then repair this broken sword. Long Fei took out his Ju-Q broken sword. Of course. He was also joking. The Ju-Q sword was the Ocean King's weapon, it came from the universal realm, how could such a low-level plane be repaired? However, at this time, the Princess Sandmoon immediately said, all right. Then, he took the Ju-Q broken sword. Princess Sandmoon turned to look at her people, his expression changing as he said, artifact forging. Ha! Their voices shook, and not a single one of them seemed to have changed. He was already pretty sick, but now, one by one, they became lively and energetic, taking off their jackets to expose their muscles which were cast with copper water. Moreover, in this instant, they all took out their crafting hammers. Princess Sand Moon walked to the top of refining platform, took off his cape and outer garment, leaving behind a bra. Similarly, her body was full of muscles. In addition, her right hand moved. Buzz. A 3-meter-long, 1,000-pound hammer fell into his hand. The sudden change from a radiant, soft girl to a beauty's was too fast for Long Fei to react in such a short time. Material, Princess Sand Moon's voice sounded again. Right now, she was like a general dashing on the battlefield, mighty and extraordinary. The broken sword was placed on the refining platform. All sorts of colorful ore were taken out and delivered. Crazy tempering. Sparks flew in all directions, appearing particularly dazzling under the afterglow of the scorching sun. On the other hand, the lady from refining platform was exceptionally ferocious, violent, and domineering. Long Fei was dumbstruck. A few hours passed. The refining platform released a loud sound. Princess Sand Moon said lightly, "It's done." Chapter 2439 Man from Magic Tribe. Chapter 2439 Man from Magic Tribe. Alright. The domineering aura of a woman from the Princess Sand Moon disappeared the moment the artifact forging was completed. The domineering wall, on the other hand, seemed to have turned back into a beautiful young girl. The refining platform slightly turned around, earnestly looked at Long Fei, and said, "This sword. I don't know how the repair is going, and I don't know if you are satisfied with it. This Ju-Q sword might not even be considered a spirit treasure in the universal realm. But, in this lower plane, it could definitely be considered a deity-level weapon. In order to repair such a god-level weapon, not only did it need high-grade materials, it also required the ability of a refiner. During the artifact forging process just now, the power that the Princess Sand Moon had displayed was very fierce and overbearing, fully displaying the power of their ancient artifact forging families. Extremely wonderful. Long Fei was also shocked, but still. While he was looking at Princess Sand Moon refining, a refining platform also mysteriously appeared in his sea of consciousness. Within his sea of consciousness, he was also forging artifacts. What made him curious was that the refining methods of the Princess Sand Moon were almost the same as the refining methods in his sea of consciousness, but there were some differences. For example, his control over fire. Then there was the speed of the hammer. The connection of spiritual energy. Long Fei felt that the refining technique in his sea of consciousness was a little better, but it was just that. That was a conscious operation, if it was his own combat style. No need to think about it. He would definitely fail. Although he had cultivated the refining techniques before, he was still a level 0 proficiency. It was impossible for him to repair this kind of divine-level weapon. Long Fei regained his composure, walked forward and looked at the Ju-Q sword floating above the refining platform. The color of the front and back was slightly different. However, the joining and breaking point was perfect. The key to a divine weapon was whether or not the power contained within it had broken. This restored Ju-Q sword could be said to have a perfect power link. There were no cracks at all. This technique. Awesome. Long Fei walked to the refining platform and clenched his right hand tightly on the sword hilt. Boom. The flames on his left arm suddenly expanded and began to burn. In an instant, the atmosphere became scorching hot. The moment Long Fei held onto the Ju-Q sword, the entire sword also combusted in flames. He was incomparably domineering. True essence surged. The sword's weight was 3 times heavier than before, and this sword weighed almost 1,000 jins. Heavy. His strength was also becoming stronger. A fierce sweep. Swish, lolo. A stream of flame sword chi shot out 10 meters straight to the place where the flames burned, bringing with it a black destructive force. At this moment, Long Fei could feel the power within the Ju-Q sword. Together with the left arm's fire. With one word, fierce. Long Fei was extremely excited, and was secretly glad that the god's fire heart was given to the Princess Sand Moon, else. This Ju-Q sword was truly blind. Weapon, Ju-Q sword, fire, grade, divine level attribute, fire, annihilation description, possesses a powerful fire suppression ability and has a chance to trigger a destructive attack. Looking at these attributes, Long Fei was so excited that he almost laughed out loud. I've struck it rich, I've struck it rich. Ha ha ha. The god's fire heart can't be fused, it's going to perfectly evolve the Ju Q sword. It feels so good. A scene appeared in Long Fei's mind. He used the Ju Q sword to release the big fire ring. Wow, this is too cool. The sis is definitely going to scream, ha ha ha. Transformers was also stunned. Damn, instantly turned the broken sword into a divine weapon. Too powerful. Transformers laughed foolishly. Big sis, can you also craft a weapon for me? I don't need someone as good as boss, just give me any heaven-ranked magic weapon. Any random heaven stage magic weapon? If other martial artists had heard this, they would have been tempted to devour him. Land-level treasure were all extremely rare. Refining it was extremely difficult. The moment Transformers opened his mouth, he knew that it was a heaven stage magic weapon. The lion's mouth was wide open. However, Princess Sandmoon did not hesitate at all, as if it was an extremely easy task, and said, sure, but we are using all of the refining materials on the sword just now, how about we refine it for you next time? What kind of weapon do you want? Heh. Long Fei was stunned for a moment, then said, don't listen to him, heaven-rank magic weapons are not easy to refine. The Princess Sandmoon said, it might be difficult for other refiners, but for our family of Shoyu, a heaven-ranked magic weapon is not hard at all. Our Sand Moon tribe was specially created for the purpose of refining. Besides, you all are the benefactors of our Sand Moon tribe. It is our honor to be able to create magic weapons for our benefactors. The surrounding Sand Moon people also spoke up. The magic weapon were originally prepared for Powerhouse. Since you have saved us, we, the Sand Moon tribe, will definitely repay your kindness. Just tell me how many heaven-rank magic weapon you want. We'll make you as much as you want. When it came to artifact forging, they were all extremely arrogant. There was no one in the Zhenwu continent who was stronger than them in refining. The smile on Transformers' face blossomed. He was just speaking casually. He did not expect Princess Sandmoon to agree, and immediately said, I want a thick rod as a weapon. The bigger and thicker it is, the better. Transformers said excitedly. Long Fei disdainfully said, don't you know that big weapons require more materials? What do you want a stick for? To dance the steel pipe dance, Princess Sandmoon pursed his lips and smiled, no problem. The Transformers was even happier and immediately jumped up and said loudly, really? The Princess Sandmoon said, we, the Sand Moon tribe, will stick to our words. It's just that you have to wait a bit longer, we need to prepare the materials. Transformers replied, all right, I'm not in a rush. At this moment, in the distance, there was a wave of rolling yellow sand, along with the roars of several demon beasts. Transformers fixed his eyes on it, he embraced it with both fists and said fiercely, the desert giant scorpion still dares to come? Let's see how I'll kill you this time. Princess! 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 A shout came from afar. Princess Sandmoon's eyes shook, and he immediately said, they are my clansmen. Princess Sandmoon looked at Long Fei's left arm. Long Fei smiled slightly and said, low-key, low-key. Kong Kim, you go back to the beast space too. The idea moved and teleported Transformers into the beast space. It was also at this time. His burning left arm extinguished. It was a strange thing, the flames on his left arm instantly entered the Ming clan's imprint space. However, it disappeared without a trace. Long Fei thought in his heart, can the Ming clan's mark and sky fire perfectly fuse together? F***CK. It can't become a underworld fire, right? Rub. Thinking of this, Long Fei started to get excited. It was also at this time. Princess Sandmoon walked in front of refining platform and retracted his hand slightly. He then kept the refining platform and the god's fire heart in a special space. The leading old man rushed over in a hurry. Seeing the Princess Sandmoon coming down from the demon beast's back, he said anxiously, Princess, I've finally found you. The voice and the flames. Not waiting for him to finish. A few other ferocious demon beasts rushed over, and on the back of a great 7 rating monster and beasts, a young man in his early 20s looked at Princess Sand Moon, then looked at Long Fei. His eyes turned cold. Why did a useless human come here? Get out of the wilderness. Chapter 2440, Fiancé. Chapter 2440, Fiancé. Get out of the wilderness. With that, the man's mount, the great 7 rating monster and beasts, suddenly took a step forward. Its breath was fire, and its eyes were filled with a primal savageness as it stared straight at Long Fei. If this was placed on an ordinary person, they would have immediately fallen down in fright. Kai Linna's body slightly moved. As long as the big demon beast dared to advance another half step, she would kill it with her sword. Long Fei did not even raise his eyes, laughed, and said, "And what are you? Do you even deserve to speak human language? You're courting death." The eyes of the man on top of the big demon beast grimaced, and he shouted out in a deep voice. With the support of the horse beneath him, his huge body immediately stood up. He let out a roar and was about to ruthlessly stomp on the horse. Incomparable savagery. Long Fei still did not move. Kai Linna wanted to move, but Princess Sand Moon was the first to speak. "Meng Shan, what do you want to do?" It immediately blocked in front of Long Fei, and stared angrily at the man on the demon beast's back. Seeing the Princess Sand Moon in front blocking them, the elder who had climbed down from the demon beast hurriedly walked forward and said, "Princess, it's dangerous." Meng Shan's eyes turned sinister as he stared at Princess Sand Moon. "Princess, have you forgotten your status? You're actually protecting a human?" Meng Shan did not belong to the Shoyu clan. However, the Princess Sand Moon had a special identity. Princess Sand Moon replied, "They have saved me before, without them, I would already be dead. Do you want to kill my Sand Moon tribe's benefactor?" Meng Shan glanced at Long Fei, coldly laughed, and said, "Relying on him? Humans are extremely weak and treacherous. You couldn't have been fooled by him, right?" "Hey." Meng Shan stared at Long Fei and said, "Trash, what crafty scheme did you use to deceive the princess? Speak honestly, otherwise I will let you die so that your mother won't recognize you." "Ha ha ha. Ha ha ha." A mocking laugh immediately sounded from behind him. "Ha ha 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 ha. Ha 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 ha." Humans were extremely afraid of death in the magic tribe. Moreover, sly and cunning. Long Fei raised his eyes and looked at Meng Shan's face and laughed. "Second time." Meng Shan said, "What did you say? What second time? The second scam? Is this your second time seeing someone as handsome as me? Ha ha ha. Ha ha ha. Their patriarch is so ugly. What do you think he looks like? Even a bug looks better than them. Ha ha ha." Kai Linna frowned. He wanted to attack. Long Fei slightly stopped him, his eyes raised as he said coldly, "If I hear the word trash for the second time, you will regret coming to this world. I will do as I say." Gloomy. Icy cold. The great demon beast underneath Meng Shan wanted to get angry, but when he saw the look in Long Fei's eyes, his body suddenly trembled and began to tremble. A chill also rose in Meng Shan's heart. An unprecedented pressure entered his heart. Fear. Meng Shan clenched his fists tightly, his forehead turned sinister, and was about to become angry. Princess Sand Moon spoke again, and said, "Meng Shan, have you messed around enough yet? If you dare to be disrespectful to my Sand Moon tribe's benefactor again, don't blame me for telling your clan leader." Humph. The muscles at the corner of Meng Shan's eyes twitched, and said coldly, "Brat, today is your lucky day." And then, Meng Shan said, "Princess, my young master is still waiting for you to return. Please." A demon beast walked out. The Princess Sand Moon hesitated for a moment, but still walked forward, wanting to mount the demon beast. At this moment, Long Fei took a step forward, and said, "My escort mission is not over yet." The old man appeared. Then with Meng Shan's appearance and this team, not only did they not want to find people, they even wanted to kill them. Furthermore, the way they looked at Princess Sand Moon was different. Although they called her a princess, their eyes were filled with killing intent. Long Fei had a strong reaction to killing intent, to the point that not even a trace of it could escape from him. Princess Sand Moon was stunned. Meng Shan shouted, "Brat, this is the wilderness, this is the territory of our magic tribe. Your Highness doesn't need your protection, scram back to where you came from, and don't let me see you again, or else." Kai Lina took a step forward, and said coldly, "Otherwise, how about it?" Buzz. An extremely strong pressure directly pressed down on Meng Shan's mind. In an instant, his face was flushed red and his veins were popping out. It was as if his breath was stuck in his throat. It was extremely uncomfortable. Otherwise, no. He didn't come out even after a long time. It was so crushing that he could not move at all. As long as Kai Lina used even the slightest amount of strength, his head would be crushed until it exploded. Kai Lina said again, "Otherwise what? Speak." Meng Shan's face darkened and his forelimbs twitched. He could not make a sound. Princess Sand Moon looked at Long Fei, and then said, "The Meng family's people are here, the sand demon has died, I am also safe now, so." She did not know her own danger. Long Fei said, "I promised you that I would escort you out of the savage desert. Your Sand Moon tribe has kept his word, and I, Long Fei, also keep my word." One of the clan elders from the Sand Moon tribe's expression darkened. Long Fei glanced at Kai Lina. Kai Lina retracted his might, looked at Meng Shan and said, "With ants like you, I can crush you to death with a single finger. If you continue to be disrespectful to my boss, I'll take your dog life." He withdrew his aura. Meng Shan gasped for breath. Hoo. They did not dare to look at Kai Lina. However, his eyes were full of killing intent as he said fiercely in his heart, "I will definitely kill you with my own hand. You want me to escort you, right? If you are courting death, then you can't blame others." And then, Meng Shan said, "Since they want to escort us, then let them be. There's more. You are the princess's benefactors, so you are naturally our Meng family's benefactors as well. So, you guys go with me to the Meng family. I believe that my young master will thank you. It was you who saved his fiancée. He will definitely thank you again." Long Fei looked at Princess Sand Moon and muttered, "Fiancé?" A complex expression appeared in Princess Sand Moon's eyes. Sensing Long Fei's gaze, she smiled. However, the Princess Sand Moon reacted and said, "The Meng family is the Meng family, and the Sand Moon tribe is the Sand Moon tribe. They are my benefactors, so the Meng family does not need to thank you. I'll leave the savage desert. You can leave now." Princess Sand Moon looked at Long Fei and said softly, "You must not go to the Meng family, you must not go to Magic Tribe." Meng Shan replied, "How can I do that? He is your savior, so naturally, young master has to thank him. In another month, young master will be participating in the Gods Sect gathering organized by the human race." "Right. Do you know the Gods Sect gathering? From the looks of it, you probably don't know about it, right?" Long Fei's eyes slightly rose, and his lips drew back. "Gods Sect gathering. Participant of Magic Tribe? Heh. Chapter 2441 18 Captains of Magic King. Chapter 2441 18 Captains of Magic King. Since the mission wasn't over yet, they naturally had to continue escorting him. The reward of 10 million experience points was also an experience. How could Long Fei not accept it? Moreover, was grateful that the Princess Sand Moon had helped him to repair the Great Ravine, and with the killing intent in Meng Shan and the others' hearts, he couldn't leave either. However, he never thought that the Meng family would also have a participant from the Gods Sect gathering. The Gods Sect gathering that Zhao Guo held was an invitation to all the genius generals of the Zhenwu continent. Those who were able to participate were all geniuses amongst geniuses. Especially in the Magic Tribe territory, people who were able to be invited were even more extraordinary. Long Fei wanted to see what kind of genius he was. A day's journey. Deep in the night. In the darkness. Why did you bring them? Don't forget the purpose of our trip. An old man's voice was low, filled with anger and dissatisfaction. The other person was Meng Shan. Meng Shan sneered, "Elder you, what are you so anxious about?" The elder said solemnly, "How can I not be anxious? The sand demon was killed and the heavenly fire also appeared. If the princess completely controls the heavenly fire, do you think we will still have a chance? Meng Shan replied, "Don't worry, they won't be able to get to the Meng family." The elder raised his eyebrows and looked at Meng Shan. Meng Shan laughed sinisterly. "Do you think I would let a human step into Magic Tribe's territory? With just him? It's not that I said, if it wasn't for that woman, I could send her to heaven with one hand. Trash human dares to fight with me? I'll play you to death." Meng Shan clenched his fists tightly, the killing intent in his eyes grew even stronger. The elder let out a small breath and said, "That human youth is not simple." "Not simple? Ha ha ha." Meng Shan disdained, "Even if it's not simple, I will still kill him, human? Humph. Then you don't have the qualifications to step into the devil sect's territory." He hated humans to the extreme. Adding on the words Long Fei had said, his heart became even more unsatisfied. "And then?" the elder asked, "Then what about the princess?" Meng Shan said, "Rest assured, as long as Skyfire and Refining Platform are with her, I will definitely give them to you." "Elder you, what you promised us." The elder immediately said, "Don't worry, will keep my word." "You mean what you say?" Meng Shan muttered, and the corner of his mouth revealed a cold smile. In another place, beside a bonfire, Kai Lina stood silently behind Long Fei, his eyes like an eagle's eyes staring at his surroundings. Long Fei looked at Princess Sand Moon. Princess Sand Moon looked at the bonfire. Just like that, the two of them remained silent. Under the illumination of the flames, he could roughly see Princess Sand Moon's face. The pair of eyes under the veil had a trace of loneliness in it as they quietly stared at the bonfire without blinking. Very smart. After a long time, Long Fei stretched his back and was just about to say something when Princess Sand Moon was a step ahead of him. He looked at Long Fei and for some reason, his expression was somewhat panicked and a little worried as he said, "It's an engagement set up by my father." Unfathomable. She didn't know why she wanted to explain, but she wanted to explain to Long Fei. Long Fei had originally wanted to say goodnight and go to sleep. He was really not interested in the Princess Sand Moon's engagement. A woman had to marry someone, and if she wanted to marry someone, she had to marry someone. Sand Moon Tribe was also one of the Magic Tribes. It was normal for him to have a marriage with a genius from a family. Thus, Long Fei responded softly, "Oh." He was truly very casual and did not have any thoughts. However, Princess Sand Moon mistook Long Fei's casual tone for another meaning and explained once again, "Actually, I don't even like Meng Qian." Long Fei was startled. He thought, "You don't need to tell me whether you like it or not, right?" Princess Sand Moon looked at the flames again and said, "But my father was worried that our Sand Moon tribe would be devoured by other Magic tribes, so before he died, he made this marriage agreement. He wants to protect the Sand Moon tribe. At that time, I didn't even know what a marriage contract was. Seeing my father in pain, I made a choice without any hesitation," Princess Sand Moon said lightly. There was a hint of bitterness in his eyes. All these years, she had always used her own strength to help the Sand Moon tribe survive as long as possible. Protection from the Meng clan? Except this time, it had never appeared before. As for Meng Qian, she had never seen one before. However, Meng Qian was one of the 18 sons of the Demon Emperor. From this, it could be seen how talented he was. Being able to be adopted as a son by the Demon Emperor, it was clear how much the Demon Emperor valued him. But how could she love a stranger she had never met? Long Fei said, "Since you don't like it, then don't marry. Since it's a marriage contract, isn't it just a piece of paper?" The Princess Sand Moon smiled bitterly. "Our Magic Tribe's marriage contract is different from yours. Magic Tribe's marriage contract is based on blood. It cannot be destroyed. If you break the engagement, the demon god will punish you." Long Fei was startled. Is this an engagement, or a curse? However, this is quite useful. At the very least, it can make people keep their promise. No, that's not right. People have no other choice but to at least choose the person they like and live the life of the person they love, right? Long Fei thought of Yi Yorong. Thinking about Yi Yorong and Zhao Haotian. When he thought of how Yi Yorong was going to marry a eunuch, and how it was even under the pressure of her master, Long Fei's anger surged. There was still a month left. God's sect gathering was about to arrive. And in another month, Yi Yorong would be marrying Zhao Haotian for the Zhao family's dragon bloodline Emperor's Qi. Thinking of all these, Long Fei became even more unhappy. However, no matter how unhappy he was right now, it was useless because of his strength. In the short span of a few months, his level had undergone earth-shattering changes. He was still not a match for the Emperor Zhenwu's realm. He was still not strong enough. Once Yi Yorong's master made a move, Long Fei wasn't sure if he could withstand it. Not strong enough. Seeing the anger in Long Fei's eyes, Princess Sand Moon thought that Long Fei was angry because of her and couldn't help but look towards Long Fei and say, "This might be my life." She wanted to break free from the shackles of fate. However, her strength was insufficient. It wasn't just the clan that she was going to face, but the Meng clan as well, and even it was the Demon Emperor. After a long time, they fell silent again. Long Fei's mind did not think about the Princess Sand Moon. His mind was only thinking how to level up quickly. The wilderness was about to be cleared, so he immediately entered the magic tribe's territory. The demon beast in the wilderness could not support the experience he needed to level up anymore. Breaking through the second stage of arrogant form required 1.2 billion experience. Too much. Moreover, it would only be a month's time. Long Fei would not be able to slowly fight monsters like in the game and slowly level up. He needed to be fast. He had reached the boundary of the true martial emperor within almost a month, but where was the place to level up like this? Could it be to turn over the entire magic tribe? Chapter 2442 Make Trouble. Me taking pictures of you. Chapter 2442 Make Trouble. Me taking pictures of you. Early morning. He continued on his way. However, Meng Shan's group was missing 2 people. This was Kai Lina's reminder, otherwise Long Fei would not have paid attention. When it came to Kai Lina's observation skills, it was truly an incredible feat. She was like a professional bodyguard who did not miss a single detail. Of course, this was because Transformers had returned to the ancient era of the beast space. Otherwise, she would have been more specialized in scouting in the sky. 2 people going back to report. Or are you preparing somewhere? Long Fei's mouth curved up as he smiled lightly. He then opened the system to take a look at the escort mission, and saw that there were no signs of it being completed. Long Fei said to Kai Lina, "Wait, what's going on? If he wants you to leave, then leave, don't worry about me. I want to see what the Meng clan is up to." Kai Lina nodded lightly. Princess Sand Moon sat on the demon beast's mount. She was wearing a veil and her expression could not be seen. The other Sand Moon people were also sitting on their demon beast. They were extremely happy, because they would be leaving the desert in a few days. Only Long Fei and Kai Lina didn't have a mount, so they used their feet to walk on the hot sand. Actually, there were mounts in the group, but Meng Shan had ordered in front of them that the magic tribe's mounts could not be used by humans. Long Fei did not mind. After replenishing his water source, his arrogant form state's body had undergone a huge change. In this kind of desert, it did not have much of an impact on him anymore. Sunset Canyon. We're almost there. We're almost out of the desert. May the demon god bless you. We're finally out of the damn desert. Ha ha ha. Only when we arrive at the Meng family and the princess marries young Master Meng will our Sand Moon tribe have a place. At that time, with our refining skills, our Sand Moon tribe will rise up once again. Thank you, Fiend God. Many Sand Moon people said excitedly. To them, this entire month had been a nightmare. Now it was finally time to get rid of the nightmare. Meng Shan looked at the great gorge in front of him, and a faint smile appeared on his face. The corner of his eye shot a glance at Long Fei, who was within the crowd, and he thought in his heart, "Kid, it's time for your death." Kai Lina looked at the canyon in front of her, her eyebrows slightly tightening as she looked at Long Fei. A natural danger. The canyon was small, and the depths of the canyon was extremely steep. It was a perfect place for an ambush. Long Fei remained calm and collected. An hour later, they stood at the entrance to the canyon. The Princess Sand Moon warned Long Fei and said, As long as we pass through the Sunset Canyon, we will leave the savage desert. At that time, Long Fei said, when the time comes, my mission will be over. Princess Sand Moon was a little lonely as he said indifferently, thank you for taking care of me and protecting me all the way here. Long Fei said, you're welcome, I am just following my promise. Meng Shan suddenly walked over and reminded her in an unfriendly manner, Princess, you need to be clear about your identity. You are not only the Princess Sand Moon, but also the fiancé of our young master. You look at each other like a human being. Don't blame me for not reminding you. If this were to be known by any other tribes, even if you have the protection of our Meng family, would your Sand Moon tribe still be able to establish a foothold? Remember, humans don't have any good stuff. Finished. Meng Shan fiercely glared at Long Fei and said with contempt, Brat, don't blame me for not reminding you that the Sunset Canyon is very dangerous. If anything were to happen to you, you'd best be able to protect yourself. Then, he looked at Kai Lina who was behind Long Fei. Sensing the change in its aura, Meng Shan's body slightly shrank as he shouted, enter the canyon. Following that, all the warrior of Meng Clan S shouted in unison, enter the canyon. His voice echoed within the gorge. As the tiny space continued to spread, the canyon for tens of kilometers would probably be able to hear the sound. Meng Shan strode into the canyon as he smiled in his heart, Brat, you're going to die soon. A few warrior of Meng Clan S were originally walking in front, but when they entered the canyon, they purposely stayed behind. Moreover, there were a few warrior of Meng Clan S beside Long Fei that had the strongest cultivation among them. Just based on their chi, Long Fei could sense them. Was he going to make a move? Kai Lina sent a sound transmission to Long Fei, and said, they are probably going to take action. Long Fei slightly smiled, and said, no rush. After walking for an incense stick of time. Roar. In the depths of the canyon, the strange cry of a demon beast could suddenly be heard. Meng Shan waved his hand, and immediately shouted out, stop. Everyone stopped. Meng Shan said, there's danger ahead, who wants to explore the way? He didn't wait for anyone to speak. Meng Shan looked at Long Fei and said, human brat, we have protected you the entire way, shouldn't you do something? I'll leave the small task of finding the way to you. Quick, let your follower go. Causing trouble? Long Fei smiled slightly, and said, you're right, leave the exploration to me, my follower won't do such a small thing like this. And then, Long Fei then walked forward with large strides, wanting to enter the canyon. Meng Shan's face darkened. He wanted Kai Lina to leave, but Long Fei left, who was he going to kill? Moreover, with Kai Lina here, he basically did not dare to rashly make a move against Princess Sand Moon. Seeing Long Fei walk out, the corners of Meng Shan's eyes turned sinister, and he sneered, I thought you were my master, but I didn't think that you were my follower. Like I said, how could a human have a demon as his follower? So he's a servant. Ha ha ha. And then, all the warrior of Meng Clan S laughed loudly. Long Fei laughed, that's right, I am a servant, so, a servant should scout ahead. Just you wait, I'll be right back. As he spoke, he ran out. Meng Shan gritted his teeth until it made a cracking sound. He wanted to use provocation, but Long Fei did not buy into this at all. Long Fei laughed in his heart, are you the only one who dares to scheme with Lousy? Causing trouble? You're too far behind. Not long later, Long Fei disappeared into the canyon. A warrior of Meng Clan walked up and said, Sir, we. Meng Shan shook his head. To him, yesterday's pressure was like a nightmare. He didn't dare to make a move. Moreover, there was an ambush in the depths of the canyon. He did not believe that Long Fei could pass through it. Meng Shan laughed proudly. At this moment, rumble, rumble. After a few explosions, the canyon became quiet. A few minutes later, dust flew into the air from the depths of the canyon, as if a huge creature was moving. Meng Shan's eyes darkened as he thought anxiously in his heart, didn't I tell them to use their rank 9 beasts to deal with that brat? After dealing with it, immediately lock it up. Why are you letting it out now? Warrior of Meng Clan also became nervous. However, not long after, a person walked out. Long Fei. With one in each hand, he dragged the heads of the 2 Tier 9 savage beasts out. Meng Shan was confused. Chapter 2443. Chapter 2443. 2 9th-level savage beasts, and one that was extremely bloodthirsty. But their heads were dragged on the ground by Long Fei, their eyes had turned white, their tongues were curled up, and their heads were covered in blood. Meng Shan looked in their eyes, and his heart was about to collapse. A 9th-level savage beast. This was a very strong battle force. But it was solved in such a short period of time. He died after just a few explosions. Long Fei supported the monster head and walked forward, saying, "Captain Meng is right, there is indeed danger ahead. Now that it has been cleared, we can continue on our journey." Finished. Long Fei then threw the monster head. Whoosh, whoosh. 2 sonic booms rang out as they flew out of the gorge. A few explosions could be heard in the distance. Long Fei clapped his hands and said, "That's right, other than the 2 demon beast, there are also a few other men dressed in different clothes. I wonder who was the one who was killed by me." Meng Shan's eyes suddenly exploded, his face red as he stared at Long Fei angrily. His killing intent soared. Long Fei said, "Captain Meng, why do you look so ugly? What's wrong? Are you not feeling well?" Meng Shan gritted his teeth. "I'm doing very well." "Oh." Long Fei laughed and said, "That's good." And then Long Fei returned to the group. Meng Shan almost suffered internal injuries due to his anger. Not to mention the fact that a rank 9 beast had died, even a few warrior of Meng Claness had died. He definitely wouldn't be able to explain it when he returned this time. However, in the next second, the corners of Meng Shan's eyes turned sinister as he said solemnly, "You dog, if I don't kill you today, then I won't be surnamed Meng." Zhong Xian gestured grandly. "Let's continue." A 9th-level savage beast. That was just the first hurdle. This was also a test of his abilities. He had originally wanted to test Kai Linna's strength and the speed at which he returned, but who would have thought that Long Fei would go scout and return in less than 10 minutes? It was a bit unexpected. Yu Hu stepped forward. "What's going on?" Meng Shan said, "Nothing." Yu Hu said, "Meng Shan, didn't you say that you were prepared for everything? Hurry up and make your move. If you walk out of the canyon for half a day longer, there will be no more chances." Meng Shan's eyes darkened as he said somewhat angrily, "You don't need to remind me when I do things. Just stay at the side for me." Yu Hu felt Meng Shan's anger and did not dare to say anything more. Meng Shan was very unhappy. This displeasure made him angry, and the killing intent in his heart increased even more. Another 2 hours passed. Now that they had reached the center of the canyon, they became even more small and small. Suddenly, a black shadow descended. Shua. It directly pierced towards the Princess Sand Moon. The black figure's speed was extremely fast, and after Meng Shan's sneak attack had landed, the first thing he had to do was forward response. The long saber moved. Flames flew in all directions. The assassin shot into the air and instantly slammed into the cliff. His body disappeared. It was as if he had instantly become invisible. Meng Shan immediately shouted, "Enemy attack! Battle form, whoosh whoosh whoosh, asterisk whoosh whoosh whoosh, asterisk." All the warrior of Meng Claness were in a battle state. At the same time, Meng Shan looked around and ordered again, "Protect Princess Sand Moon." At this moment, Long Fei suddenly sprung up from his original position, and with a leap, the great ravine in his hand was like a big dart. Shua. In the blink of an eye, it pierced through the skies. Bam! They were firmly nailed to a rock wall. At the same time, a miserable scream sounded out. Blood gushed out. The sword pierced through that person's body and nailed him to the wall. Long Fei's body gently flew forward, and directly stood on top of the Jukyu sword. Looking at the corpse beneath the sword, he smiled slightly, and said, "A sneak attack? You want to sneak attack me? You're courting death." And then Long Fei smiled at everyone and said, "I killed him." Meng Shan's face suddenly turned purple, and he scolded, "Who told you to do it? Who told you to kill someone? Do you even have a captain like me in your eyes?" It was close to a roar. It was as if he had gone crazy. In his heart, he really wanted to cut Long Fei into 30,000 pieces. How infuriating. He was so angry that he wanted to vomit blood. Long Fei said indifferently, "Assassin's sneak attack, are you not going to attack and let him escape?" Meng Shan shouted, "There is our warrior of Meng clan here. Is there a need for you to make a move? Does the Princess Sand Moon need your protection? Didn't you see that I didn't kill him just now? I'm keeping him alive. But now, just kill him." Meng Shan stared deadly at Long Fei, his eyes moved slightly, and said, "Brat, are you trying to kill me to keep my mouth shut? Are you with this killer? Speak. Is it?" In that instant, all of the warrior of Meng Clan S pointed their pikes at Long Fei. Swish, swish, swish. Meng Shan shouted, "You must be together with the assassin, otherwise why did you kill me to keep my mouth shut? You humans are full of schemes, this must be your scheme. Kid, you better explain yourself. What is your goal? Is it the Sand Moon tribe's sacred flame? A bite back?" Long Fei did not expect Meng Shan to have such a method. He took out the Ju-Q sword and descended steadily from the cliff, and asked, "How do you know about the weapon refining sacred flame?" Meng Shan was startled, and was speechless for a moment. Pausing for a few seconds, Meng Shan shouted, "It's me who is asking you, it's not your turn to ask me. What is your purpose in approaching the Princess Sand Moon? You who also walked forward and said, humans and magic tribe aren't compatible with fire and water. Why would a human like you appear in the wilderness? There must be a purpose. Speak, what is your purpose?" Sand Moon people also looked at each other. Humans seldom appeared in the wilderness, and even if they did appear, they would not care about the life and death of magic tribe, much less protecting a princess of the magic tribe. Doubt arose in his heart. Long Fei was very calm. Princess Sand Moon said, "He saved my life and helped Sand Moon tribe get rid of the sand demon. It's impossible for him to be with the assassin. I believe in him." "I believe him too. I believe him too." A few Sand Moon people stood up and said. Meng Shan's face sank, looked at Princess Sand Moon and said, "Princess, human beings are treacherous and cunning, don't be fooled by him." Princess Sand Moon said, "I can judge right from wrong, I don't need your reminder." Meng Shan had an extremely ugly expression on his face as he said, "Princess, for your safety's sake, I cannot let him approach you again. Kid. From now on, you two are not allowed to get within 10 meters of the princess. Don't blame me for being impolite." Meng Shan said fiercely. Long Fei laughed, and said, "You're not being polite, let's have a look." Meng Shan's eyes narrowed, and said, "What did you say?" "Say that again." Long Fei said, "I'll say, why don't you take a look? I really want to see what you look like without any modesty." The muscles at the corner of Meng Shan's eyes twitched crazily, he could not hold it in any longer. He really couldn't hold it in any longer. Long Fei simply made him collapse to the point of wanting to go berserk. Chapter 2444, One Sword Second Meng Shan. Chapter 2444, One Sword Second Meng Shan. However, in the end, Meng Shan held back. "Since the princess has treated you as her savior, I will not bother about you anymore. From now on, you do not need to care about the princess's protection. Meng Tian, Meng Guang, your subordinate is here." Two warrior of Meng Clan's riding demon beast immediately walked to the side of Princess Sand Moon, and directly pushed Long Fei and Kai Lina away. Meng Shan said to the Princess Sand Moon, "Princess, I cannot give your safety to a human. If anything happens, the young master won't forgive me." Princess Sand Moon looked at Long Fei and said faintly, "All right." Receiving Princess Sand Moon's permission, Meng Shan smiled slightly in his heart, and then said, "Let's go, keep on guard." "Ha!" Everyone shouted in unison. Bam! 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 Warrior of Meng Clan rode beasts after beasts, pushing Long Fei to the back of the group. Now, Long Fei's seat was not even visible to the Princess Sand Moon. Kai Lina said slightly, "I can sense her location, it's currently very safe." Long Fei said, "The valley is still about halfway there, they will definitely not be able to take action. When that time comes you don't have to worry about me, just protect that princess." Kai Lina nodded and said, "Understood." With their strength, They were not even a match for Long Fei, so Kai Lina was not too worried. Long Fei looked at Meng Shan, who was sitting on the largest demon beast in the distance, and said indifferently, "Let's see what else you can do." An hour passed. This hour was very quiet. Nothing had happened. However, the quieter it was, the more likely something was going to happen. Meng Shan had been sending out signals non-stop during this period. Suddenly, rumble. A loud explosion rang out, and on the side of the valley, a huge rock weighing hundreds of thousands of jinn tumbled down. Meng Shan immediately shouted out, "Protect the princess." It was a signal. Meng Tian and Meng Guang immediately grabbed the Princess Sand Moon and quickly flew out. Seeing this, Meng Shan was secretly happy. First, they had to push the princess away before they could make a move. However, in the instant that the giant boulder rolled down, Long Fei's right hand moved as he shouted in his heart, "Sand control technique. Explode for me." At the same time, the sand and wind crazily eroded that rock. The boulder that weighed hundreds of thousands of pounds quickly became smaller, as if ice and snow were melting on top of a flame. Finally, with only a few kilograms of weight remaining, it accurately smashed onto the top of Meng Shan's head. Bam! Seeing that the only thing left over was a small stone, his gaze swept across and directly gazed at the Long Fei in the distance. Smoke rose from the top of his head in anger. Long Fei said, "I am not on the same side as this stone." Giggle, giggle. Meng Shan screamed in his heart as he clenched his teeth so hard that they were about to shatter. The surrounding people were cheering, applauding, and cheering for Long Fei. "If it wasn't for you, many of us would have died just now. Thank you so much. Humans actually have good people as well. I'm ashamed of my suspicions. I'm really sorry. It was too dangerous. If not for Long Fei being born in time, many Sand Moon peoples would have been smashed to death. They only knew how to refine, and did not have a high level of cultivation." Long Fei suddenly became the hero in their hearts. However, at this moment, Meng Tian and Meng Guang led Princess Sand Moon and escaped into the depths of the canyon. "Where's the princess?" "He's been taken by the Meng brothers to the other side." "Don't worry." They were not worried, but Long Fei secretly cursed in his heart, "Not good." Meng Shan smiled. Right at that moment, a voice came out from in front of them. Princess Sand Moon cried out, "Help!" Immediately, Sand Moon people immediately panicked. "The princess is in danger. Princess!" They quickly rushed up. However, Meng Shan's eyes moved, a few warrior of Meng Clan instantly blocked the way, and Meng Shan shouted, "Calm down, I will send someone to save them, you don't have to worry." Meng Shan was not in a hurry. With the Princess Sand Moon in control, everything would be easy. At this moment, Kai Lina spread out his wings and rushed out into the sky like a bolt of lightning. His speed was extremely fast. Meng Shan was secretly shocked. He was shocked in his heart. What astonishing speed. In the next second, a smile appeared on his face, his gaze moved, he stared straight at Long Fei and said, "Damned trash, now that you do not have that birdman to protect you, let's see how you can still be so arrogant. Someone, come, take him down." Ha! All the warrior of Meng Clan surrounded Long Fei in unison. Those Sand Moon people were all stunned. "He just saved us, he definitely won't harm the princess." "Captain Meng, what's the meaning of this? Is there some kind of misunderstanding? Right now, the most important thing to do is to save the princess." "Captain Meng, send someone to save the princess. Lord Long is a good person." Many people from the Sand Moon tribe spoke up for Long Fei. Meng Shan laughed coldly, and said, "Is he a good person?" "Humph. Not a single human being is a good person. Since that's the case, if you say he's a good person, then die with him. Kill them all." Also at this time, Long Fei squinted, and said faintly, "Third time." Meng Shan smirked complacently, "What third time?" Long Fei said, "This is the third time you have said the word trash." "Ha ha ha." Meng Shan laughed out loud, and said, "Which one of you human beings isn't a trash? I have seen a lot of trash like you, and I think I feel good about it. In front of us Magic Tribe, you guys are nothing but trash, trash. How is it? How many times have I said it now? Trash. Meng Shan did not place Long Fei in his eyes at all, because in his eyes, humans were trash, and there was no comparison between them and the magic tribe. Ha ha ha. Ha ha ha. Trash, you're going to die soon. Trash. Ha ha ha. Meng Shan shouted crazily. Long Fei said lightly, "You're dead." Meng Shan laughed even louder and said, "Trash, do you know who died?" In an instant, Long Fei's figure disappeared. In the next moment, Long Fei appeared behind Meng Shan. Fast. It was incredibly fast. Meng Shan's pupils suddenly bulged, his eyes exploded in anger, and his eyeballs slowly turned behind him. At this moment, a large sword reflected in his eyes. A sword light flashed. Shua. The sword chi was like thunder, exploding in the sky. At this moment, a head fell down and half of its body stood on the spot, seemingly unable to react as blood spewed out. A sword with a severed head. Instant kill. As the head fell to the ground, Meng Shan's eyes were still staring straight at Long Fei. Even in death, he didn't know how he died. The system sounded out. Ding. Chapter 2445, Genius Like Monster. Chapter 2445, Genius Like Monster. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing Meng Shan for obtaining 50,000 experience, 1,000 true chi points, and 1 arrogant god energy value point. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining fierce magic pill. 2 system notifications sounded out. He dropped a medicinal pill. Long Fei stood on top of Meng Shan's mount, scanned, and asked, "Who else?" Roar. Meng Shan's mount roared. Without waiting for it to roar, Long Fei moved once again. The Ju-Q sword slashed down. The demon beast's head fell down once again, and the system sounded out once more. Blood sprayed out. He landed on the Ju-Q sword, not a drop of blood stained the sword, as it dripped down. Long Fei looked at the stupefied warrior of Meng clan and said coldly, "Who else?" Long Fei's aura was like a god of death. It crushed everyone around it. They had looked down on humans and despised them since they were young, but now, in front of this human, they were too scared to even move. This caused their pride to suffer. No one moved, right? Very good. Now let me ask you, what is your goal? Long Fei looked at a warrior of Meng clan. Warrior of Meng clan lowered his head in silence. Long Fei's voice suddenly exploded, and she shouted, "Speak." Rumble. The death god's aura surged again, just like a pair of sickles placed on their necks. As long as they didn't say anything, their lives would be taken. Refining sacred flame. It's a sky fire. Meng Shan wants to obtain the heaven flame. That's it. We were forced to do it too. Lord, please let us go. Their minds had collapsed, unable to withstand the aura being emitted from Long Fei's body. As expected, Long Fei trembled slightly. The instant the heaven flame landed on the refining platform, it directly illuminated the entire wilderness. The Meng family must have seen it. Because of the relationship between the Meng family and the Sand Moon tribe, they were more clear about what the heaven flame signified. Long Fei asked, "Is this just Meng Shan's idea?" "We don't know. We will only listen to Captain Meng Shan's orders. We don't know anything else," the warrior of Meng clan said. At that time, all of the Sand Moon people were dumbstruck. They had assumed that the Meng clan would go all out to help them because they thought that the Meng clan could be their second home. However, the result was actually like this. Since you don't know. Long Fei's eyes moved, the Ju-Q sword in his hand continued to slash. Swoosh swoosh swoosh. Swoosh swoosh swoosh. He raised his hand and the sword descended. 1 sword attack for 1 kill, all of them were instantly killed. The system was also beeping. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing warrior of Meng clan for obtaining 10,000 experience, 1,000 true chi points, and 1 arrogant god energy value point. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing warrior of Meng clan for obtaining 10,000 experience, 1,000 true chi points, and 1 arrogant god energy value point. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei 4 killing warrior of Meng clan for obtaining 10,000 experience, 1,000 true chi points, and 1 arrogant god energy value point. 10,000 experience points isn't bad. Long Fei would not miss any opportunity to earn experience. Since these people wanted to kill him, he would not show the slightest bit of mercy. He wouldn't let anyone who deserved to be killed off. Not a single person from the warrior of Meng clan remained. Long Fei looked at the Sand Moon people and asked, "Can you see the faces of the Meng family clearly now?" Unexpectedly. I could never have imagined that the main goal of the Meng clan would be Heavenly Flame. What an ambitious wolf. The old chief is really blind. Right. Princess. Immediately. Long Fei's eyes also tensed up, his heart thumped. Nothing will happen to him, right? I don't think so. He was very clear about Kai Lina's cultivation level. It was impossible for him to be unable to handle a few warrior of Meng clan S. But, with her speed, she should have returned by now. Long Fei had an ominous premonition in his heart. And then, Long Fei quickly rushed out. The Sand Moon people did not stop and quickly chased after him. No one noticed that an elder of the Sand Moon people had stopped there. Looking at Meng Shan's head, he stepped forward fiercely. Bang! Meng Shan's head exploded. Useless trash. You who cursed angrily and fished out an insignia from his bosom. As the true chi was injected, the insignia suddenly turned into a ray of light. Shua. He disappeared in the blink of an eye. In another place. Meng clan. Within a luxurious courtyard. A man with a purple gold crown on his head was reading a book. Suddenly, he raised his eyes and stared at the beam of light descending from the sky. A fiendish look appeared on his forehead. The book in his hand crumbled into fine powder. Useless thing. The man shouted coldly. In an instant, the man disappeared. Within a few breaths' time, he appeared in the savage desert, at the exit of Sunset Canyon. Within the gorge, Long Fei chased after him, but discovered that there were a dozen forks in the canyon ahead. The man from the Sand Moon tribe immediately pointed out a path and said, "This is the path that leads out of the valley. It must be this way." Long Fei madly chased after him again. However, there was no sign of Kai Lina on the way. Did something happen? He still went out. Long Fei could not determine either, but he could not. Since they were about to reach the exit, they should at least bring the Sand Moon people out safely. 10 minutes later. It's out. It's out. It's finally out of the canyon. Where's the princess? Why haven't we seen the princess? At the entrance of the canyon, everyone was panting heavily. Long Fei did not realize that Kai Lina and the Princess Sand Moon had become tense and wanted to return to the canyon immediately. However, in that instant, an incomparably powerful aura attacked. Terrifying. Almost in an instant. Long Fei's mind slightly trembled. He slowly turned around and looked at a certain spot. One of them had a purple gold crown on his head and his face was sickly pale, but on his body, however, it carried with it an incomparably thick and powerful aura. Long Fei looked at him again. He was also looking at Long Fei. Their eyes met. Lightning crashed against each other. Flames flew in all directions. Long Fei's heart trembled, so strong. This person at least the peak of arrogant form, right? Just when the man wanted to take a step forward, a figure descended from the sky. Boom. Kai Lina landed, and she held Princess Sand Moon in her hands. Kai Lina's heart also shivered as he sensed a powerful aura. After which, he looked at Long Fei and said apologetically, "I got lost just now." Long Fei was startled. It was also at this time. When Princess Sand Moon wanted to thank Kai Lina, she couldn't help but look at the man with the purple gold crown. Her eyes slightly moved, and at this moment, she felt a strange aura. She knew this aura very well. This was the essence of blood from the contract of marriage. The man in front of him. It was her fiancé. The Meng Qian of 18 Captains of Magic King, a monstrous genius. Chapter 2446, Confrontation between Ice and Fire. Chapter 2446, Confrontation between Ice and Fire. The first impression was different. Very strong. It had a suffocating power. 18 Captains of Magic King. This is the cultivation level of the 18 Captains of Magic King? Long Fei was stunned. Looking at Meng Qian, he said in his heart, "Are all gods' sect gathering such monsters?" Just as Long Fei was feeling shocked, Meng Qian walked towards the Princess Sand Moon. Princess Sand Moon was also stunned on the spot. This was the first time she had met Meng Qian, and the feeling she gave off was a blank space. Most of them were shocked. Seeing Meng Qian walking towards her, she was at a loss of what to do, her heart a little confused. Meng Qian walked to her side and gently said, "You minute er." Princess Sand Moon replied in shock, "Young Master Meng." Yu Minute was her name. Other than his clansmen, very few others knew about her name. Due to his engagement with Meng Qian, he knew very clearly what her name was. Meng Qian was very direct. He grabbed her hand and said, "It's safe now. No one can hurt my woman." Princess Sand Moon trembled. The instant his hand was held by Meng Qian, he didn't know why. A wave of fear rose in her heart. She couldn't help but glance at Long Fei. Long Fei also looked at Princess Sand Moon. Although it was just a glance, Meng Qian had already caught her. The corners of his eyes slightly turned cold as he looked at Long Fei and said, "She's safe now, she doesn't need your protection anymore." It was very cold. The iciness was tinged with contempt. Long Fei smiled faintly and said, "She is her, you are you, and I don't care who you are. She said you don't need to be escorted, so I will naturally leave." Although he seemed to be speaking with a smile, Long Fei's tone of voice was extremely forceful. Meng Qian smiled and said, "I am very grateful for taking care of you all the way here, but now, it's better for you to leave." Long Fei said, "And if I don't leave?" Meng Qian still had a smile on his face, but his pale white face, combined with his sinister smile, said, "If I don't leave." Heh heh. He did not say anything, but his smile became even wider. Killing intent burst out of his eyes. At the same time, the breath coming from his body was like a surging wave of wetness that suddenly attacked. At this moment, buzz, buzz, rumble. The air exploded. The temperature suddenly dropped. Even in the scorching desert, the sand was quickly covered with a thin layer of frost, and the smell suddenly dropped by several dozen degrees. A cold chill came over him. It was as if his blood vessels had split open from the cold. The Sand Moon people all revealed painful expressions. Furthermore, they even released painful cries as they constantly trembled and kneeled on the ground. Incomparable pain. First stage of the arrogant form, Long Fei's body had already reached a very strong state. However, facing Meng Qian's sudden qi, his body sunk down. Although it was not as painful as the Sand Moon people, he was still holding on. He cursed in his heart, F***ck. This was only an aura, and not even an oppressive might. How strong was Meng Qian's cultivation? Kai Linna's forehead tightened as he stared at Meng Qian. Inside the beast space, Transformers was also in a bad mood. "Boss, let me out, I want to kill him." "Who?" Long Fei let out a light breath, and the idea moved, Wang. The power of the heavenly fire within the Ming clan seal instantly burst forth. Boom! The Qilin arm appeared and his left arm combusted. In that instant, Long Fei activated his true essence and the blazing aura released by the flames on his left arm instantly turned into a wave of energy that rushed forward. Boom! Boom! Rumble! The air around them seemed to be on fire as well, as they directly blocked the cold and sinister energy released from Meng Qian's body. It was also at this time. The painful Sand Moon people behind Long Fei seemed to have revived as they gasped for breath heavily. "It's better if it's hot. It's too comfortable. I like the heat." A stream of fire energy and a stream of cold air crazily collided with each other, wreaking havoc. Ice and fire visible to the naked eye. Scarlet flames. Xuanar buys ice. Meng Qian's eyes turned sinister as a cold light flashed in them. He released an even stronger cold qi, and rushed forward like an ice beast. Long Fei's footsteps sank slightly. The back of his feet had sunk completely into the sand. Even if what he released was the power of the heavenly fire, however, he couldn't take it either. However, Long Fei had never admitted defeat. Seeing the ice beast rush towards him, Long Fei shouted in his heart, "Damn, am I afraid of you?" The power of the big fire ring. His left arm was burning even more fiercely. The fireball turned into an air flame and formed the shape of a scorching sun, directly blocking the attack. The moment of contact. Rumble. 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 The huge explosion shook the sky and wreaked havoc in a berserk manner. As the ice beast shattered, the power of the big fire ring that Long Fei released also crazily weakened as a result. Furthermore, Long Fei could not bear it. Buzz. The two forces were cancelled out. Long Fei's body sank down again. The corner of Meng Qian's mouth raised, and he glanced at Long Fei, and then he flipped his left hand. Hualala. The sound of water instantly solidifying into ice resounded in the air as cracking noises continuously sounded. His aura suddenly retracted. At the same time, it was also at this moment that everything abruptly changed. Long Fei's eyes darkened, the power on his left arm also started to move, as a huge amount of true essence started to pour in. At the same time, Long Fei's idea started to connect with the rotten ghost hand. As long as the power of the heavenly fire was unable to withstand it, he would instantly summon the Ghost Emperor. "I don't believe I can't kill you." However, suddenly, Princess Sand Moon moved, blocking in front of Meng Qian and said faintly, "All right, I'll go with you." Then, the Princess Sand Moon looked at Long Fei and said, "The escort mission is over. Go, quickly leave this place." It was also at this time. Meng Qian laughed indifferently. The smile on his face was extremely pleased, his left hand sank, and the gloomy and cold qi in the air slowly disappeared. The surrounding people also let out a heavy sigh of relief. Long Fei's expression tightened, and said, "You don't need to do this." Long Fei was not stupid, he could tell that the Princess Sand Moon was worried that he was no match for Meng Qian. Princess Sand Moon said, "This is my own choice. Leave, and never come back here again." Princess Sand Moon turned around and took Meng Qian's arm, and said, "Let's go." Meng Qian laughed complacently. He looked at Long Fei and said, "You want to steal from me? You think you're worthy? Ha ha ha. Ha ha ha." Meng Qian faced the sky and laughed, then walked out in big strides. Long Fei looked at Meng Qian's pleased expression. He was unhappy, but in his heart, he was extremely unhappy. Sand Moon people walked to Long Fei's side and said, "Master, thank you. Hurry up and leave. The Meng clan is very powerful, and young Master Meng is a 18 captains of Magic King. You can't afford to offend him, so leave this place as soon as possible. Let's go. If we're too late, then we won't be in a hurry. Let's go." Everyone began to urge him. Long Fei stood in place without moving an inch. Until all the Sand Moon people had left, Long Fei looked in the direction that they had disappeared in, looking at the borders of the savage desert, and clenched his fists. "I have never been afraid. Here, let me show you a baby. Here, let me show you a baby." He had never been afraid of anyone. Yi Yorong's master, so what if he was a Emperor Zhen Wu's realm? When Long Fei was being suppressed by her aura, fear never arose in his heart. 18 captains of Magic King? A monstrous genius. So what? I need to be afraid of you? Just now, Meng Qian was like a rooster that was winning, laughing crazily in glee. Long Fei was very unhappy in his heart. 18 captains of Magic King is awesome. Fine. This father is someone who specifically tramples on others. Moreover, what was Long Fei doing in the wilderness? It was all for leveling up. Now that he had met the boss, how could he not fight for it? You don't want experience. Old fire had already appeared. Furthermore, Princess Sand Moon was very clear about the Meng family's goal, the Heaven Flame. Knowing that the Meng family still needed to go, he was walking towards a fiery pit. If he did not save them, Princess Sand Moon would definitely die, he definitely would not be able to live. Meng Qian looked a little handsome, but Long Fei felt that this brat might be a gay with a broken back. His behavior was too female. Finally. Task. The escort mission was not over yet, but Long Fei did not receive the rewards. How could he just leave like that? With all of these combined, Long Fei couldn't leave. Meng clan, right? 18 captains of Magic King, right? See how lousy does it. Long Fei roared fiercely. He walked to the edge of the desert and started walking towards Meng City. Kai Lina looked at Long Fei, but she did not stop him this time. Because she was also very unhappy with Meng Qian. Especially the choice Princess Sand Moon made to protect Long Fei. As a woman, she knew that she was in a very bad mood. Seeing Long Fei's anger rise, she was also furious. What a great sister, how can she be destroyed by this kind of monster? Long Fei interrupted, that's right. Kai Lina glanced at Long Fei and said, flowers need to be placed on cow dung as well, only then will they be more nourishing and nourishing. F***CK. Why are you looking at me like that? Long Fei's eyes stared wide open as he reacted and said, I'm cow dung? Are you looking for a beating? Alright, I'm cow dung. When did you insert that flower into my body? Had never forgotten about it. The allure of a foreign country could only be seen on television in his previous life. How could he let it slip away when there was such a chance in his life? How could he still be called a man? It was just that. During this period of time, Kai Lina had been flying in the sky, and he basically did not have any opportunities, so he could not possibly be crackling in the sky, right? Isn't that too difficult? Kai Lina looked at Long Fei and said, this flower of mine is poisonous. Long Fei said, I'm not afraid of poison. Kai Lina laughed faintly and did not continue with this question. Instead, he spread his wings and shouted, Shua. Rushing up to the sky, he instantly vanished into thin air, leaving behind only a voice, I'll go scout first. Don't go, let's chat about 50 cents more. Say it, when will we get your flower? Long Fei looked at Kai Lina, who had turned into a black dot, and did not continue talking. Instead, he lightly smiled and said, since you have followed me, I will not let you go. There's no chance today, but there will definitely be a next time. Heh. After teasing Kai Lina for a while, he felt much better. However, Long Fei then recovered his expression, looked far away and muttered, since you say I will fight with you, alright. Then let me have a look and see who doesn't deserve it. Long Fei didn't have any thoughts towards the Princess Sand Moon in the first place. After all, he was here for cultivation, not to pick up a girl. However, Meng Qian's last sentence made him feel extremely unhappy. Stealing a woman? To be honest, Long Fei had never lost to anyone before. And then, Long Fei strode towards Meng City. One day later, Meng clan. Inside Meng Qian's courtyard. One of the Meng clan disciples reporting to young master, we didn't find the human you were talking about. When Meng Qian returned to the Meng family, his mind was filled with the images of Long Fei releasing the Heaven Flame's aura. From Yu Hu's words, he knew that the flame on Long Fei's left arm was the power of Heaven Flame. Furthermore, there was the look in Princess Sand Moon's eyes when he looked at Long Fei. He was very unhappy. Meng Qian squinted. No? Could it be? He really left. The corners of Meng Qian's eyes turned sinister as he muttered to himself, it is said that the heavenly fire is divided into two parts. One is the weapon refining sacred flame, and the other is the supreme flame. As long as I fuse them to a high flame, I will control ice with one hand, fire with the other. Who in the God sect gathering can stop me then? Zhao Haotian? Yi Yorong? What sect of infinitors is Tongshan? All of them will be trampled to death by me. The disciple said, young master, what do we do now? Do you still want to continue searching? Meng Qian looked at him, the corners of his mouth revealed an evil look, he waved his hand, and said, no need. A human is extremely weak, the trash must have fled, with his cultivation, he might even meet him at God's sect gathering, at that time I will make him kneel in front of me. That disciple immediately said, as you command, that disciple will take his leave. The evil intent on Meng Qian's face grew even stronger, he grabbed onto the disciple's hand and gently said, don't be in such a hurry to leave. The voice became very feminine. The disciple trembled, young master, I. Meng Qian held his hand. The disciple struggled with all his might. Finally, Meng Qian immediately forcefully dragged it over, and laughed sinisterly. Come to my room, I'll show you a treasure. Half a minute later. Ah! An extremely painful scream rang out from the sky above the Meng clan. Another round of chuckles rang out. Princess, we are under house arrest. The butler elder walked over. Princess Sand Moon smiled bitterly. She thought that by eliminating the Sand Demon Sand Moon tribe, she would be able to get rid of the biggest hidden danger. Adding the god's fire heartess on top of that, their Sand Moon tribe would be able to rise again. However, he had just gotten out of the wolf's den and entered the tiger's den. The person in front of her was a friend of the Sand Moon tribe, and the current patriarch, Meng Zhon, was her father's sworn brother. Thinking about that, the Princess Sand Moon wanted to laugh. People say that the human race is treacherous and cunning, but isn't magic tribe the same as well? There was a trace of pain in Princess Sand Moon's eyes as he said to the elder, I understand. The elder said, the Meng family has really gone too far. If the Demon Emperor were to know what the Meng family has done, he would definitely not sit idly by. Princess, our Sand Moon tribe may not have been much in the past, and the Demon Emperor didn't care much about it. But now, it's different. We have reacquired the god's fire heart, and our refining ability has increased by more than 100 times. As long as the Demon Emperor knows, he will definitely help us. The elder said anxiously. Indeed. In the past, people had forgotten that the Sand Moon tribe's refining ability had decreased. But now, the Sand Moon tribe possessed the sacred flame and was able to refine high-grade, heaven-ranked and god-ranked weapons. Who among the magic tribe dared to look down on them? The Demon Emperor didn't dare to ignore this. If he knew what the Meng clan had done, then, Princess Sand Moon's eyes also slightly sunk as he muttered, Demon Emperor. Chapter 2448, Charging the Second-Level Ghost King. Chapter 2448, Charging the Second-Level Ghost King. Regenerate. Regenerate more. 10,000 won't be enough to see. At least 100,000. I want to crush him. In a certain valley. They were densely packed with alien demons that were resting on the ground, and on both sides of the valley, they were densely packed with alien demon eggs that made people's hair stand on end. Long Fei did not immediately enter the Meng city. He had to be prepared. It was a preparation that made one's scalp tingle with fear. For this, he allowed the alien queen to swallow 10,000 grand mist crystals. The entire valley was filled with the aliens' demon army. As long as Long Fei gave the order, they would immediately attack Meng city. In the past, it was always the demon beast that attacked his city. It was his turn to lead the demon beast to attack other people's city. Standing on top of the mountain, looking at Meng city in the distance, Long Fei muttered, I am not worthy, am I? At that time, we will see who is not worthy. Magic tribe. Humph. Let me show you what a magic tribe is. Long Fei was in high spirits. The alien queen came from the dark world. Although Long Fei's cultivation was not as strong as the Ocean King's, and was unable to make the alien's demon spirit become as strong as the ones from the dark world, but any one of the alieness had to possess the strength of her elixir. They were ferocious and did not fear death. Most importantly, they were absolutely loyal to Long Fei. As long as Long Fei said it, they would not hesitate even if they knew that they were dead. Just charge. That's it. Even if he didn't win, he would still die. This was the alien demon. Long Fei's army. Buzz. Shua. A black shadow descended from the sky like a bolt of lightning. It was just like the contraction of steel, incomparably cool. Kai Lina landed behind Long Fei and said, according to the news that just came from the Meng family, Meng Qian and Princess Sand Moon will get married in 3 days. After she finished speaking, she looked at Long Fei. Long Fei's gaze tightened. Married 3 days later? Kai Lina said, moreover. Your guess is right. Meng Qian is abnormal. Broken back gay? Long Fei couldn't help but laugh. When I first saw him, I felt that he was a bit of a mother and a bit of a monster. I didn't expect him to really be a gay, just that I don't know if it's offense or offense. Kai Lina disdainfully said, why don't you try it out yourself? Long Fei rolled his eyes at her, and said, I don't have that kind of hobby, I'll try it out on you. Kai Lina immediately fell silent. Long Fei asked, "Don't tell me you also have a fiancé in your hometown?" Kai Lina's pair of eyes slightly sank, his gaze became a little lonely, and he laughed bitterly. "Even if there is. I'm afraid that he's also married to someone else now, and looking at my current appearance." An image flashed through his mind. A handsome man was trembling in fear from the pair of wings on her back. He continued to shout, "Monster, monster. F***ck. Am I the terminator of my fiancé?" Long Fei laughed, looked at Kai Lina seriously, and said gently, "Your appearance is very beautiful, extremely beautiful. Do you know what you are?" Kai Lina shook his head. "What? Isn't it a monster?" Long Fei said seriously, "No, you are an angel." "Angels?" Kai Lina recited the word angel. This word was foreign to her and she had never heard of it before. She felt the charm of the word. Her heart was somewhat moved. Long Fei said, "No one is more beautiful than you." Looking at the expression in Long Fei's eyes, Kai Lina felt a little dazed and intoxicated, but he woke up very quickly and said, "You should think about the matters in Princess Sand Moon. The wedding is in 3 days, you can't watch her marry a perverted gay man, right?" Long Fei was startled, but recovered his expression. "Don't worry, since he said that I am not fit to fight with him, then I will snatch this woman. Not only will I snatch her, I will trample her to death." Long Fei looked at the ferocious alien demons in the valley, and the corner of his mouth revealed an evil smile. Kai Lina said, "Just relying on these alien demons." The alien demons are indeed powerful, but the Meng family is very powerful. When that time comes, the powerhouses of many tribes in Magic Tribe will participate. Once they join forces to fight against them, your alien demon will very likely be stopped. Kai Lina said. The peak of the elixir S was not weak. However, in front of the arrogant form state, the Mahayana realm, and even the powerhouse S of the Zhenwu realm, they were just dregs. Not to mention, this was the territory of the Magic Tribe. No matter what happened, how could he allow a human to do whatever he wanted? Long Fei muttered, "You're right. Just these alien demons alone are still lacking. At least, it would be very difficult for these alien demons to injure Meng Qian. His cultivation is at least at arrogant form, but my power can't even shake him." When he thought about the battle between him and Meng Qian 2 days ago, the space between his eyebrows tightened. Meng Qian was very strong. If it was just based on strength alone, Long Fei was not his match. "I need to think of a way to increase my strength a bit more. 3 days, right? I'll go all out. And then," Long Fei said, "continue your scouting." Kai Lina nodded. With a flap of his wings, he instantly flew out. Long Fei moved and summoned his transformers, saying, "Guard this valley and do not let anyone near." Transformers cupped his fists, "As you command." The Transformers was currently a heaven-rank demon beast and ordinary Magic Tribe South could not get close to him at all. The alien demons he protected in the valley would not be discovered by anyone. Even if someone found him, he would be able to escape. After finishing all these, Long Fei walked into the valley. The idea moved and entered the Ming clan's imprint space. Phew! He let out a light breath. In 3 days, proficiency of the 100,000 point. Just thinking about it, Long Fei felt like he was going to puke. Cultivating a cultivation technique was even worse than eating. It lasted at least an instant, but the cultivation technique felt like it was being eaten non-stop. But, no matter how bad the taste was, Long Fei had to endure it. Let's begin. Rotten Ghost Claw. Ding. Proficiency plus 100 points. Rotten Ghost Claw. Ding. Proficiency plus 100 points. Long Fei began to cultivate his Rotten Ghost Claw frantically, because the only thing he could do now was to level up his skill, and charge towards proficiency that had 800,000 in 3 days. And then, summon the 2nd level Ghost King. Last time, when he used the Ghost Emperor to fight against the Sand Demon, it could be said that the Ghost Emperor's power was completely crushed. The 2nd level Ghost King was stronger. Furthermore, the Ghost Emperor gave Long Fei a familiar feeling, as if they had met somewhere before. It could have been in his sealed memories. It could have been an unknown memory, Or he might have been overthinking it. Anyway, what he wanted now was the second-level Ghost King. Chapter 2449 Alien King. Chapter 2449 Alien King. 3 days later, Meng City was bustling with noise and excitement. The various tribes of Magic Tribe all sent people to congratulate them. The rallying power of the 18 captains of Magic King was definitely not ordinary. Moreover, not only the Magic Tribe, but even the human race had come to congratulate them. It was also because of the Meng clan's power and influence. Ha ha ha. Look at the scene, look at all these people congratulating us. They are all the patriarchs and elders of the Magic Tribe, and the patriarch was born because of the power of our Meng family. Our young master is one of the 18 captains of Magic King. How can the people that the Demon Emperor has set his eyes on be weak? Ha ha ha. In the future, with the refining techniques of the Sand Moon tribe, our Meng family will become the #1 clan in the Magic Tribe. Of course. Meng City will become the #1 city in the city. Ha ha ha. As people of Meng City, they felt proud to see the people walking on the streets. Furthermore, they were all powerhouses from other tribes. This was the influence of the Meng clan's power. It was also because of Meng Qian. The Meng clan was decorated with lanterns and festoons, exuding a joyous and jubilant feeling. Inside Meng Qian's courtyard, a disciple lowered his head and reported, "Young master, the people from the various great tribes have arrived. There are also several human countries' envoys, including Jiaogua's envoys, the southern countries' envoys, and some sects' envoys all came to congratulate you." Meng Qian was not interested in any of this. His wedding was just like that, no matter who it was, he would not be surprised, and laughed. "Where is Princess Sand Moon? How have you been these past few days?" Ever since he brought her back to the Meng family, he had never seen Yu Minute. For a man who had no interest in women, even if the most beautiful woman in history were to strip in front of him, there would still be no response from underneath him. Meng Qian did not have the slightest bit of interest in the Princess Sand Moon, so he was too lazy to look. To him, the Princess Sand Moon was just a pawn, his tool. The night of the wedding was also the day when he would receive the sacred fire. Once he controlled the sacred flame, the Princess Sand Moon would no longer be of any use to him. That disciple said, "Everything is normal. Princess Sand Moon has been staying in her courtyard and she has not taken a step outside." Huh. Meng Qian was slightly taken aback. "That is indeed outside of my expectations, but what else could she do?" Mph, what Princess Sand Moon? A clan in such dire straits, and you still dare to call yourself a princess? Even she wouldn't feel embarrassed. In the Meng clan and the Meng city, it was useless even if the Princess Sand Moon resisted. And then, that disciple said, "I received news this morning that a patrol team found a super monster while patrolling in the southern mountains. Only the 8 patrolling disciples escaped." Not waiting for him to finish, Meng Qian raised his eyes, stared at the disciple's face, smiled slightly, and said, "Come over." That disciple secretly trembled as his expression changed. Meng Qian walked forward and grabbed his hand, and said, "What are you nervous about?" That disciple lowered his head, not daring to even breathe. Meng Qian laughed lewdly. "Come, I'll show you another treasure today." Finished. He pulled the man into the room, and not long after, screams of pain rang out along with laughter. Princess Sand Moon's room. Red in color, red in color. 2 maids stood behind her. Princess Sand Moon looked at her reflection in the mirror. The corners of her eyes were slightly wet. A servant girl said, "Princess, many people are jealous of you. If you are able to marry our young master, your family, and you will be respected by everyone in the future." Another servant girl said, "That's right, 18 captains of Magic King. Our young master is the Demon Emperor's most valued disciple. Rumor has it in the outside world that our young master will receive the Demon Emperor's inheritance and become the next Demon Emperor. When that time comes, you will be the imperial concubine. You will be above everyone else. It's about time. We should be ready as well." The 2 maidservants began to urge him. Princess Sand Moon's tears silently fell down, and then she closed her eyes. Upon seeing this, The two maids immediately began dressing her up. Outside the room, Sand Moon people's face turned ugly. They were happy in the past and thought that the Meng family would become the strongest pillar of support for their Sand Moon tribe. However, they were thinking too much. They were well aware of what happened in Sunset Canyon. The Meng family was after Skyfire. They were unwilling. However, they were only refiners, and the martial arts training was very weak. Even if they were unwilling, there was nothing they could do. Why don't you become stronger? This way you can protect the princess. Moreover, they also knew that Princess Sand Moon could only marry Meng Qian in order to protect their lives. We're really useless. What's the use of the techniques that the master gave us? It would be better to give us the power of the martial arts training than to let the princess suffer a grievance. Sigh. We should not have left the wilderness back then. I would rather fight against the sand demon now than let the princess suffer such grievances. The Meng clan doesn't have a single good thing. It would be great if that human lord was still here. He definitely wouldn't let the princess suffer such grievances. Yeah. As long as that human lord is here. Everyone began to miss Long Fei. But this was the territory of the magic tribe. Without an invitation, no race would be able to take even half a step into this place, otherwise it would just be a dead end. Princess Sand Moon was also thinking about Long Fei. She was also regretting her decision of killing the sand demon. Why couldn't she just stay in the desert? Why did he have to fulfill this engagement? As she thought about it, 2 tears once again streaked down her face. At the mouth of the valley, Long Fei was mentally exhausted. It was as if 7 or 8 fox spirits had sucked up all of his yang energy. His eyes were dark and listless. His body did not have the slightest bit of strength as he held onto a tree while retching. It was very embarrassing. It was very hard. For 3 days and 3 nights, he had not heard of it for even a second. No one could feel that feeling. Every single time, he would need to use up his spiritual energy. Every single time, he would be like a bunch of flower wheels lying on the ground. That kind of feeling. Long Fei was really afraid just thinking about it. When Transformers saw Long Fei walking out, he said, "Boss, how are you? How did this happen?" Long Fei waved his hand, signaling for him to stop asking, and asked, "What's the situation now?" Transformers laughed mischievously. "Everything is ready. A patrol came yesterday, 7 of them were killed by me, and 1 of them escaped with serious injuries." Long Fei nodded and asked, "Where's the alien demon?" Transformers gave another silly smile, and said, "More than 80,000, and also, boss." Transformers scratched his head. Long Fei said, "Speak." Transformers said, "I got Alien Queen to help you get a super flamboyant alien king." Huh! Long Fei was startled. At this moment, it was an enormous beast, over 50 meters tall, black and shiny. It looked like it could eat people. The brutality of it was equally domineering. It was quite powerful. Long Fei muttered, "What a guy." It was also at this time. Kai Lina landed and said, "The wedding has begun." Long Fei smirked. He flew into the sky and landed on top of the alien spirit demon's head, and said, "Attack the city." Chapter 2450 Siege. Chapter 2450 Siege. A loud sound was heard. Immediately after, Transformers pounded his chest with both fists. With a movement of his head, he roared out, "Brothers, attack the city." Boom. Boom. Rumble. One voice after another, the alien demons that received Long Fei's summons woke up. They stood up from the ground, with over 80,000 of them packed together. That scene. The shock was incomparable. Long Fei stood on top of the alien king's head and looked at the more than 80,000 alien demons behind him. This kind of feeling suddenly exploded out. It used to be monsters' turn to attack my city, now it's my turn to lead the monsters' turn to attack someone else's city. This kind of feeling. Ha ha ha. This is King cool. Over 80,000 alien demons. This was even more awesome than any city siege battle with Demon Beast. Moreover, these demon beasts were all at the peak of the elixir's cultivation. They did not care about their lives, and were not afraid of death. They are alien demons. The same was true for the death squads. Over 80,000 heads stood up and looked at Long Fei, who was standing above Alien King's head. Long Fei moved his left hand, summoned his Juqiu sword and activated Heaven Flame with his Qilin arm. Boom! His arms were burning, and the Juqiu sword that he was connected to was also burning, turning into a sinister and terrifying fire sword. He waved the fire sword, pointed it at Meng City and roared, "Charge! Crush them!" With the command given, tens of thousands of demons roared and madly rushed out of the valley like a black tide. Transformers took the lead. Thunderous. Kai Lina soared into the sky and disappeared in an instant. Rumble, rumble, rumble. Rumble, rumble, rumble. Rumble, rumble, rumble. The sound of running footsteps shook the sky and sand filled the sky. It was as if a black sandstorm had descended upon Meng City. Meng clan. It was extremely lively as countless powerhouse congratulated him. Congratulations. Congratulations. At this time, a voice came from the entrance of the hall, "The auspicious hour has arrived." The music started. There was a gong, a drum, and a trumpet. At one end of the hall, two female servants slowly walked out, supporting a woman dressed in red with a head full of red clouds. At the other end, Meng Qian walked out with his purple gold crown on his head and his red clothes making a sound as well. With every step he took, a shallow ripple appeared under his feet. This ripple was condensed from ice, and in the instant he lifted his foot, it disappeared. This required an incomparable amount of power to be able to control. Upon seeing this, many people's eyes flashed with a strange light of astonishment. As expected of the 18 captains of Magic King, they are indeed extraordinary. To have such strength before the age of 30, a monstrous genius who hasn't appeared in the Meng clan for 1,000 years, incredible. Truly incredible. This Princess Sand Moon is truly blessed to be able to cultivate for 8 lifetimes. Being able to marry such a man is simply too blissful. I heard that the powerful light that exploded from the savage desert earlier was the return of the heavenly fire and submission. Could this Princess Sand Moon have already grasped the artifact forging holy fire left behind by our ancestors? If that's really the case, then she can be considered to be worthy of young Master Meng Qian. With the strength of the Meng family and the Sand Moon tribe's refining techniques, I'm afraid that the Meng family will rise quickly to become the #1 clan in Magic Tribe. Many people were secretly envious of him. At the same time, there were also people guessing what Princess Sand Moon looked like. Other than the Sand Moon people, there were very few people who had seen the Princess Sand Moon's appearance. At this moment, Meng Qian and Princess Sand Moon walked together. Face to face. Meng Qian gently held Princess Sand Moon's hand. He felt disgusted, but on the surface, he still pretended to be happy. The two maidservants withdrew. An old host walked up and was about to speak. It was time. Someone from below jeered, "It's all because Princess Sand Moon is Magic Tribe's #1 beauty. Is this for real? The women of the Sand Moon tribe wear veils every day. Can we see their true appearances today? Yeah. Let us witness the appearance of the Magic Tribe's #1 beauty. Lift her head. Bang. Bang. Swish, swish, swish." Suddenly, many people in the yard started to heckle. The old host pressed down with both hands and said, "Don't make a ruckus, you have yet to bow to the heavens and earth, and cannot lift your heads, it is unlucky. Furthermore, the rules of the Sand Moon tribe states that all women have to wear a veil, and will only take it off in front of their loved ones. The girls of Sand Moon tribe could not take off their veils in front of outsiders. This is the clan rule of the Sand Moon tribe. However, Meng Qian smirked and said, "Anyway, she is my woman, a member of my Meng family. There are not that many rules for people of my Meng family. Lady you minute, what do you say?" Meng Qian laughed sinisterly. Without waiting for Princess Sand Moon to speak. Suddenly, Meng Qian instantly lifted the veil over Princess Sand Moon's head and laughed loudly. "Take a look, what is the real #1 beauty in Magic Tribe?" Ha ha ha. On the other side, the Sand Moon people were filled with rage as their veins bulged. However, in front of them was the warrior of Meng clan, they could not move at all. The veil was lifted, revealing the peerless beauty of the Princess Sand Moon. Everyone present was dumbfounded. Even Meng Qian was slightly stunned by the sight, and he too froze in shock. Because it was too beautiful. Wow, she's so beautiful. It's too beautiful. As expected of the number one beauty of the magic tribe. If I had such a wife, I could have cut my lifespan by 10 years. Beautiful, very beautiful. Moreover, Princess Sandmoon's eyes were filled with tears. His tear-stained eyes revealed a trace of pity and weakness, causing people to feel pity for him. Beautiful to the heart. Many men were gulping down their saliva. Meng Qian's gaze tensed up as he looked at the tears in Princess Sandmoon's eyes. Suddenly, a slap flew across his face. Pa! It was incomparably loud. Everyone in the courtyard instantly quieted down and became stupefied. The 5 finger marks could clearly be seen on Princess Sandmoon's face, and a bit of blood leaked out from the corner of his mouth. Meng Qian shouted, "What are you crying for? Do you feel wronged marrying me? Ah! Do you think about that human trash in your heart? Don't think that I don't know. When we were in the desert, you already took off your veil and showed it to that trash. You still King have the face to cry in front of me?" Yi Zichen spoke fiercely. It was as though he had suddenly become a completely different person. He was angry. He felt as if he had received a powerful stimulus, and his heart surged with a perverted feeling. However, with that slap, not only did Princess Sandmoon hold back his tears, the pain in his eyes also disappeared, replaced with determination and numbness. She stared at Meng Qian. Meng Qian glared at him and said coldly, "Let's talk about your sore spot, right? What kind of clan rule of the Sandmoon tribe is this? I see that you have not only taken off your veil for that trash, but have also given him your body. You can tell with a glance that she's a bitch." Princess Sandmoon clenched his fists tightly, and his teeth clattered loudly. At this moment, a voice resounded in the hall, "Qianna." The corners of Meng Qian's eyes turned sinister. He snorted coldly and no longer said anything. In the main hall, in the courtyard, and in the quiet of the Meng clan, the sound of rumbling could be heard from off in the distance. One of the disciples anxiously ran in and said, "Patriarch, it's bad, it's bad. A large number of unknown demon beasts are rushing to Meng City." Outside the city, the Transformers asked, "Boss, how do we get in?" Long Fei grinned and said, "I will kill my way in." Chapter 2451, The Great Killing Tank. Chapter 2451, The Great Killing Tank. They had never tried to attack a city before. In the past, it had always been guarding, but now, it was leading 10,000 beasts to attack the city. You want to know how to get in? Of course they had to kill their way in. Could it be that he would have to fight with someone outside the city for a few hundred rounds? A monster attacking a city needed to kill, an unscrupulous attack. Whoever blocked the attack would get killed. Standing on top of the tall alien king's head, Long Fei looked at the tall Meng city and waved his Ju-Q sword. "Little ones, charge for me." As soon as he finished, roar, Transformers took the lead, like a valiant general. With the support of his 4 limbs, his huge body jumped up heavily. Several hundred meters away, stones and rocks were thrown into the air as he landed. At the same time, he pushed up against the 4 pits at the same time, continuously jumping. In 2 breaths' time, they had reached the city gate. "He's here. He's here. Quick, inform the chief. Quick, quick. What exactly is this demon beast? I've never seen it before. Too much, too much. He's coming. Pay attention to the top of your head. Ah. Quick, release the smoke." Rumble. A gigantic black shadow fell down heavily, and the city wall immediately caved in. Warrior of Meng clan on top of the city wall screamed incessantly, like the wailing of ghosts and the howling of wolves. But, without waiting for them to get up from the ground, Transformers suddenly stood up. Its enormous body was like that of a giant. Those warrior of Meng clan trembled in fear, their faces turned pale, and none of them dared to move a muscle. But Transformers did not hold back. His left and right fists were like hammers. Boom. As the punch landed, the man turned into minced meat. Boom. Another fist landed and blood splattered everywhere, turning into a puddle of flesh. A massacre. Also at the same time, system beeps continuously sounded out in Long Fei's mind. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei 4 killing warrior of Meng clan for obtaining 10,000 experience, 1,000 true chi points, and 1 arrogant god energy value point. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei 4 killing warrior of Meng clan for obtaining 10,000 experience, 1,000 true chi points, and 1 arrogant god energy value. The Transformers was Long Fei's war pet. Those he killed, all of their experience points belonged to Long Fei. Just as the Transformers was about to die, the warrior of Meng clan came over from both sides. Heavy crossbow. Great axe hands. Left and right bags, attack. They were not waiting for death to come, they were the magic tribe, they were just demon beast, no matter how strong they were, they would still do their best to resist. Then again, their cultivation levels were not low at all. However, the Transformers bird did not even bother to pay attention to them as it continued to crazily kill in the ruins. It was even roaring at the top of its lungs, not enough to look at, he's too trashy. Bring all of them to me. He didn't even look at her. Swoosh swoosh swoosh. Swoosh swoosh swoosh. Swoosh swoosh swoosh. In the distance, hundreds of giant arrows, each with the thickness of an arm, pierced through the air. The giant arrows were covered in flames and flickered with spiritual light. Each of these arrows was extraordinary, carrying with them immense power. This arrow would probably be able to instantly kill Powerhouse, who was at the Elixir realm. All of these huge arrows were shot towards Transformers. However, Transformers still didn't take a glance. At this moment, countless black figures shot out like lightning. Swish, 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 swish. In an instant, the huge arrow that covered the sky suddenly disappeared, along with the huge arrow. Many warrior of Meng clan rubbed their eyes. Are my eyes playing tricks on me? What's going on? What about heavy crossbows? What just happened? Just as they were wondering, a black shadow descended, bringing with it a huge arrow as it shot down. Bam! Bam! Bang! When the alien demons descended, they instantly snatched away all the arrows, and in that instant, they heavily fell back down as well. Scattered on both sides of the city walls, dozens of people were instantly killed. Hiss, 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 hiss. It let out a ferocious scream. Its long arms were filled with the giant mouth of the spurs, and it continuously spat out mucus. Long Fei said coldly, "Kill, Hualala." Alien Goblin had activated a berserk mode of slaughter. This method of killing. No matter how strong you are, I don't care. In any case, I don't care. They are. Moreover, their appearances were ugly and they had never appeared before. Warrior of Meng clan had simply never seen this kind of demon beast and was immediately afraid. The alien demons became even more joyous. Kill. Kill. Save me. Save me. Ah. Help. My hand. My hand. Screams could be heard from the city walls. On the tower on the city wall. Seeing this scene, the forehead of a war general tightened. And then, one of them said, "Elder, look. It's that human." Meng Ape also saw Long Fei. However, he did not understand, how could a human command so many demon beast? Impossible. The man said, "As long as we kill him, these demon beast will retreat like the tide." The corner of the eye of the ape turned sinister as its gaze swept across the group of Meng clan elites. Who will be going? A few seconds later. No one dared to make a sound. Humans were not afraid. But the alien king and the rest were afraid. The violent ape let out a heavy cold snort, and its eyes were filled with rage. A group of trash. And then, the violent ape's fists sank. Buzz. A golden chain was summoned and wrapped around his body, and at the same time, it broke out of the door and flew out like a rocket towards Long Fei. Transformers raised his eyes, the corner of his mouth lifted, revealing a disdainful smile. "You're courting death. Trash human, give me your life." His speed was extremely fast, like golden lightning striking over. Moreover, the golden chain that was in midair pierced towards the center of Long Fei's brows like a sharp needle. At the front of the chain, The strong wind raged and the strength stripes could be seen clearly. The piercing sound was especially ear-piercing. The aura of the spirit refinement realm rushed towards Long Fei like a violent tide, extremely ferocious. Peak of the spirit refinement realm? Long Fei's lips curled into a cold smile. Alien raised his eyes slightly as his forelimbs moved, showing the form of an attack. Long Fei slightly said, "You just stand there and don't move. Turn around." The Ju-Q sword in Long Fei's hand moved, and with a movement of its body, it suddenly disappeared. The next second, they hovered in midair, a sword in one hand. And it was also at this moment that the pressure from the arrogant form state came crushing down like thunder. "You dare to act so arrogantly in front of me even at the spirit refinement realm? Human trash. Then what the F***ck are you?" As soon as he finished, the great Ravager fire sword slashed down in anger. A fiery sword beam came down from the sky. It stretched out for hundreds of meters and cut the Meng ape into two halves. Not only that, the wall behind him was divided into two. The gate of the city wall. Collapse. Chapter 2452 Meng Family Dispatching. Chapter 2452 Meng Family Dispatching. Under the arrogant form, everything was useless. Ju-Q sword. Heaven flame. Destruction, sword energy. When all these energies combined, that was an instant kill. The divine peak realm of the Meng ape, but so what? A one-shot. Moreover, in this instant, even the city gate was split in half. The sword chi of fire was abnormally fierce, and the tower above the city gate also collapsed. Shua. Long Fei landed back on top of the alien king's head, smiled slightly, and said, "Charge." The surrounding tens of thousands of alien demons started to get excited and rushed in crazily. At the same time, the system sounded out. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing Meng Ape 4, obtaining 35,000 EXP, 3,400 True Chi points, and 2 Arrogant God Energy Value points. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining gold-ranked heaven-ranked magic strap. Trash. I've exchanged. Long Fei didn't even spare him another glance. To him, now that he was not a holy artifact, there was no need to look. What did he want? Experience. Take this city. He might even be able to level up once in a while. He did not know how many tribes existed in the Magic Tribe, but in the 18 captains of Magic King, every disciple has a big city, just by overturning these big cities. Can he at least level up another 10 levels? Little ones, wake up. The moment Long Fei made a move, the alien demons became even more crazed. Long Fei looked at the wall that was smashed into pieces by the Transformers and the signs of a complete mess. Long Fei grinned, "Are you not worthy to fight with me? I don't have the qualifications to fight with you for a woman. Who has more cards now? Now, Lousy will let you know what qualifications are." Just thinking about it infuriated him. Not worthy. Not qualified. Then let him know what it meant to be worthy and what it meant to be qualified. Meng clan. The wedding was interrupted. The elders of the Meng clan walked out in unison. A disciple ran in anxiously and reporting. Elder Meng Ape was killed by that human sword. Human? What human? Didn't they say that tens of thousands of demon beasts are attacking the city? Explain it to me clearly, a few elders asked. Meng Qian squinted his eyes, instantly releasing the killing intent. He stared at Princess Sand Moon and laughed sinisterly. "He saved you, are you happy now?" The look in Princess Sand Moon's eyes changed. He didn't know why. Her heart suddenly felt warm, as if a warm current had flowed into her ice-cold heart. It made her feel incomparably comfortable. The scene of Long Fei instantly appeared in his mind. Seeing the change in Princess Sand Moon's expression, that look with a hint of love made Meng Qian even more unhappy, and he slapped her again. "Bitch. Pa." Another heavy slap. Princess Sand Moon could not stand steadily, and almost fell to the ground, blood trickling from the corner of her mouth, but her eyes were staring straight at Meng Qian. Meng Qian sneered, "Are you very happy? Don't worry. You won't be able to be happy in a moment. Because He's going to die soon, woo-ha-ha. Suddenly, Meng Qian let out a mad laugh. Is a lowly trash like you worthy to fight with me for a woman? Even if I don't want it, he still doesn't have the qualifications. As soon as he finished, Meng Qian suddenly grabbed Princess Sand Moon by the neck, and suddenly lifted him up as he laughed sinisterly. You minute, I want you to witness with your own eyes how I killed him. Ha ha ha. Whoosh. Meng Qian disappeared in place, grabbed Princess Sand Moon's neck and flew out. Meng Zhon immediately walked out and said, Elders, clan leaders, now that the humans are invading, we, the magic tribe, must work together to resist. Not waiting for him to finish, the steward of the Sand Moon tribe shouted, he is here to save the princess. It is your Meng family that is treacherous and treacherous. He's here to deal with your Meng clan. Meng Zhon, our patriarch trusted you so much, yet you dare to deceive us like this. What do you think our Sand Moon tribe is? Our princess has already merged with the ancient weapon refining sacred flame. She can now refine a holy artifact. There isn't a single good thing in the Meng clan. We trust you that much. For a moment, the Sand Moon people rapidly roared. The whole yard began to discuss with each other. Ancient sacred flame? Sand Moon tribe is a clan of ancient artificers. I heard that it was because of the descent of the heavenly fire that they slowly walked into the valley. However, that heavenly fire actually possessed the power to refine holy artifact. Patriarch Meng, is what Sand Moon people said true? Is your Meng family really refining the sacred flame for the Sand Moon tribe? Did you think about it when you and the Sand Moon tribe were engaged? All of them were elders of other tribes in the magic tribe, or their clan leaders. The Meng clan, which possessed the 18 captains of Magic King, was already very strong. If they could refine holy flames and continuously refine high-grade divine weapons, then the Meng clan would become even more powerful. No one wanted the Meng clan to be too powerful. Meng Zhon's eyes turned sinister as he roared, what nonsense. My Meng clan would never do something like that. Patriarch Meng, I heard that your son has a dragon young mania. Is that true? Your son likes men. How can he marry a woman? Patriarch Meng, is this because of the Sand Moon tribe's sacred flame? No one listened to Meng Zhon's explanation. Refining sacred flame. Who doesn't want it? Let alone the families of the 18 captains of Magic King, even the Demon Emperor himself would want to obtain it. But everyone knew clearly that only the ancient refiner tribe Sand Moon tribe could wield the sacred flame and refine it into a holy artifact. The best way to control the sacred flame was to control the Sand Moon tribe. His son is a Longyang fanatic. In truth, he, Meng Zhon, is one of them. This is big news. Patriarch Meng, is this the case? Patriarch Meng, don't go, don't go. Meng Zhon was unable to block it. He wanted to be angry, but not now. In his heart, he wished he could crush that troublesome human into powder. Meng Zhon let out a loud shout and said angrily, disciples of the Meng clan, listen up. Follow me. Boom. A huge wave of energy rushed over and immediately engulfed the entire courtyard. Everyone was crushed by this energy. Their faces were red and they could not say a single word. And then Meng Zhon stared at Sand Moon people and said, lock them up for me. No one is allowed to release them without my order. Roar. Meng Zhon moved his idea and a peak heaven stage beast came out from the beast's base. An extremely ferocious savage flood dragon let out a roar. It was like a dragon's roar. Meng Zhon took a step forward. The flood dragon soared into the air and instantly rushed out. It was also at this moment. All of warrior of Meng clan's summoned beasts followed behind Meng Zhon flood dragon and rushed out. Chapter 2453 Vajra Tyrant Body. Chapter 2453 Vajra Tyrant Body. The demon beast's attack had a special characteristic, that once the city was destroyed, it would become unstoppable. After all, Meng City was only a small city. No matter how strong the wall was, it could not withstand the perverted destruction caused by the Transformers. With Long Fei's sword breaking the door, 80,000 alien demons charged into Meng City like a hot knife through butter. At the same time, A portion of the alien demons that were rushing into the city began looting them. Kill. Burn. Snatch. Anyone who resisted would be killed. Any property owned by the Meng clan would be burned. Anyone who owned a Meng clan store would be robbed. As for the ordinary people, they were not harmed at all by Long Fei's orders. Magic Tribe also wanted ordinary people. If these people wanted money, then money. If they wanted experience, then killing them would be a waste of time. Furthermore, Long Fei was not a homicidal maniac. He wouldn't kill these ordinary people who had nothing on him just because he leveled up. The other portion of the alien demons quickly took over the high ground of Meng City. He quickly seized the high ground of the city wall. A portion of the alien demons lined up in 2 rows neatly, just like an army, staring straight ahead, waiting for their leader's inspection. Bam! 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 The alien king walked in step by step from outside the city. Long Fei stood on the head of the alien king and swept his eyes over the place. At the same time, the system beep in his mind never stopped thinking about it. Ding! Ding! Ding ding ding! Although there weren't many experience points, there were a lot of monsters, so the increase in experience points was still very impressive. At least, Long Fei was satisfied. Long Fei walked into Meng City and said with a smile, "So it was so cool when monsters attacked the city? Ha ha ha. As long as I have enough power, I can make the alien queen create an endless army for me. At that time, and lead this group of alien demons to sweep across the entire continent. Zhao family, Zhu family army, the capital, crush them all." Long Fei was extremely excited in his heart. He was glad that he made such a choice. This alien queen was simply a military factory. He was too awesome. Transformers walked over and said, "Boss, these warrior of Meng clan are not giving us any pointers, killing them all in one go and making them piss their pants. How boring." Long Fei rolled her eyes at him. "How many of them can withstand your destruction?" Transformers was now a heaven-rank peak demon beast. Unless it was a powerhouse at the peak of the refinement realm or arrogant form state, no one could stop him. In addition, his entire body was clad in golden armor, his defense heaven-defying. At this moment, boom! A golden-purple figure descended from the sky. Kai Linna's brows tightened, and immediately said, "They're here." Long Fei's eyes turned sinister. Without waiting for Long Fei to speak, Transformers hugged his fists and said, "I'm finally here. I'm already displeased in the desert. What is it? You dare to challenge my boss? F***CK his grandmother." Bam! Transformers' 4 limbs sank, and he fiercely leaped. Hualala! A 4-story building collapsed into ruins in an instant. Another building exploded 100 meters away, scattering dust everywhere. In the blink of an eye, the Transformers charged forward. In the distance, Meng Qian flew over quickly. Seeing an enormous demon beast, and even a 2-headed demon beast rushing towards him, the corner of his mouth curled up as he sneered, "This fellow is that trash human war pet, right?" Roar! Transformers roared, "Cripple your ancestors." His right fist sank. Buzz, buzz, buzz. A burst of golden light shot out. A dazzling golden light shone out from the golden glove, as a dense energy was continuously released. This was all pure physical strength, King Kong powerful fists. He bellowed. The force squeezed the surrounding space and caused it to explode, causing it to distort. Meng Qian sneered, he did not even move, and raised his left hand, directly blocking the Princess Sand Moon in front of him, and laughed sinisterly. Come hit me." He had grabbed Princess Sand Moon by the throat, and his face was pale. It was extremely uncomfortable. Seeing Transformers' fist approach, she said with difficulty, "Don't worry about me, kill him. Kill him. Kill him." Meng Qian abnormally laughed out loud, and said, Come and kill me, come, ha ha ha." Transformers suddenly saw Princess Sand Moon blocking his way. His face tightened as he roared, "Despicable and shameless." After forcefully retracting his strength, Transformers' body suddenly sank down and landed heavily on the ground. His feet rolled up countless of bluestone blocks on the street as well as 2 drag marks that were 100 meters long. King Kong powerful fist rumbled in another place. Rumble, rumble, rumble. The 100-meter-tall building instantly crumbled and turned into dust. Poochie. Transformers spat out a mouthful of blood. He was unable to release his powerful strength, which caused a backlash within his body. It was extremely uncomfortable. Meng Qian laughed out wildly. Ha ha ha. Did you see that? I say, that brat likes you, right? Even his war pet would not dare to lay a hand on you. And you gave your body to him? You bitch. Princess Sand Moon stared at Meng Qian fiercely and said, you damned pervert. The word pervert seemed to shock Meng Qian, as his eyes turned sinister, and a cold aura burst out from his body. Princess Sand Moon's neck was immediately covered in a layer of frost. It was incomparably cold. It was also at this time. The Transformers seized the opportunity and rushed out from the ground into the air once again. King Kong. Meng Qian's eyeballs moved, and his body suddenly disappeared in mid-air. You think you're powerful? You beast, scram to the side. Before he could finish. In an instant, before Transformers could release the King Kong powerful fist, Meng Qian had already appeared in front of him. With his left hand, he pressed a palm against Transformers' chest. The chilling energy on his body exploded forth. Rumble. The power behind the attack was like a bomb that had exploded. The Transformers did not have any time to react and was directly sent flying. Hualala. Rumble. The Transformers installed the 1,000-meter-long building in a straight line, causing all the buildings to collapse. Finally, Transformers collided heavily against the city wall before stopping. He spat out a large mouthful of black blood, his pupils were glazed over, and the golden armor on his chest was covered in a thick layer of ice. The defense of his golden armor and flesh seemed to have been frozen in an instant, and did not have the slightest effect. Wow, hualala. Another mouthful of black blood spurted out. Transformers punched out, supporting himself on the ground. His huge body stood up once again, but this time, he staggered a few times and then fell back to the ground. Meng Qian's palm strike had directly severely injured him. This power. Savage beyond compare. Transformers looked at Long Fei and said, Boss, so powerful, this guy is so powerful, too impressive. He grinned. At the same time, he raised his head and swallowed a few pills. Boom. Transformers' body fiercely exploded, all the bones in his body exploded with sounds, and the condensed ice in his chest instantly ruptured. Like a demon beast in a state of blood anger, his eyes turned malevolent. Varja tyrant body. Chapter 2454, Kai Lina's new skill. Chapter 2454, Kai Lina's new skill. The strength of the Transformers was increasing exponentially. His aura was no longer at the peak of the heaven stage, it had already stepped into the divine level. The aura of power radiating from his body immediately combusted, burning like a flame. With a furious roar, he stood up in an instant and clenched his fists. Cluck, 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 cluck. All the joints in his body were popping. His eyes were crimson red. The forehead stared. Boom. The golden armor on his body trembled. In that instant, shua. The wall behind Transformers crumbled, and dust flew everywhere, but the Transformers herself could not be seen. The next second, Transformers landed in front of Meng Qian, looked down from above, and rolled down from midair while roaring, You dare to look down on my big brother? Who do you think you are? Stealing women from my boss? Who do you think you are? You say that my boss is not qualified, who do you think you are? He was enraged. Meng Qian's gaze darkened, the muscles at the corner of his eyes twitched. He did not expect the Transformers' strength to suddenly multiply. The power of the heaven stage immediately changed to the power of a divine-level demon beast. This change was a bit sudden. Not just Meng Qian. Even Long Fei himself did not expect this. Varja tyrant body. On the other hand, Kai Lina said softly, Kong Kim is cultivating with all his might. He is probably even crazier than you are. Do you think that the god powder that I swallowed last time was as simple as just breaking through to the next realm? Do you think that you only mutated and grew 2 heads to scare people? Long Fei was speechless, and did not know what to say. He did not pay too much attention to the Transformers. But He knew that the Transformers wanted to break through and become stronger. It was just that he did not expect that in a few short months, he had gone from a level 9 demon beast to a mighty great King Kong. And then, Long Fei looked at Kai Lina and said, "You also consumed the god powder, so do you also have some sort of power that I don't know about?" Kai Lina smiled, and did not say a word. At this time, in the distance, the Transformers didn't even give Meng Qian the time to block the Princess Sand Moon in front of him, as his fist directly landed on Meng Qian's face. Transformers' fist was much bigger than a person's fist. The power of air piercing. If it was a normal person, he would have been beheaded and killed instantly. However, Meng Qian's cultivation was not ordinary. Transformers' punch was indeed ruthless, but it did not hit Meng Qian's health point by much, however. Meng Qian was flung out. Transformers pushed himself up. Its huge body was even more nimble than a monkey's. Not waiting for Meng Qian to land on the ground, its two fists smashed towards him like a violent storm. Bang, 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 bang. A burst of lightning-fast attacks. Meng Qian's body crazily swayed, his body caved in, and blood crazily sprayed from his mouth. There was a grim sneer on his face. Even when he was spitting blood, he was still laughing maniacally. Ha ha ha. Ha ha ha. Ha ha ha. Madman. Abnormal lunatic. Transformers' heart sank slightly. Meng Qian laughed sinisterly. Do you only have that much power? What a piece of trash. Even the strength needed to tickle me is not enough, just a little more. Slightly more ruthless. Not at all. From the start, Meng Qian could still vomit blood, but now, he felt no pain at all, even Transformers felt it. This Meng Qian was too weird, too abnormal. Transformers' eyes turned sinister, his fists became heavy, King Kong powerful fists. Both fists moved at the same time. Two King Kong powerful fists exploded under the state of Vajra tyrant body, and their power was several times stronger than before. At this moment, Meng Qian's body suddenly stopped. When the two King Kong powerful fists struck each other, their powers exploded, causing numerous energy shockwaves. The shockwaves caused by the explosions caused by the explosions caused by the explosions in the air. Meng Qian stood in place without moving an inch, as if he didn't feel the slightest amount of pain. Indeed, the harm that the two energies of the King Kong powerful fist had done to him. Miss. He did not use any damage. Long Fei's gaze tensed up, and at this moment, he shouted, "Not good." At this moment, Kai Lina's figure suddenly disappeared. Shua. Meng Qian laughed sinisterly. "TSK TSK TSK. So weak, didn't your good-for-nothing master teach you how to act ruthlessly? Only trash like you dares to shout in front of me? Go to hell." He let out a ferocious roar. Meng Qian flipped his left hand. Wang. The water in the surrounding air was suddenly drained, forming a huge ice sword in his hand. Moreover, within a radius of 10 meters around him, this was his domain. Ice and Amp, Cold Field. The ice sword condensed and pierced forward. It directly pierced toward the location of the Transformers' heart. At this moment, the golden armor on Transformers' body shook and released a strong defense. At the same time, he pushed his legs up, wanting to jump high, but strange. His body seemed to have been frozen. He couldn't move his entire body. It was extremely uncomfortable. Transformers frowned. Meng Qian laughed sinisterly. "You can't move, right? Ha ha ha. Don't you like it? Didn't you want to show your might for your good-for-nothing master? Didn't you say that I don't have the qualifications to fight with your master for a woman? Call again now. Hit me again. Move again." The more he spoke, the cold energy on Meng Qian's body surged out even more, while Transformers' entire body became even more immobilized. All of the hair on his body was congealed, and a thick layer of frost appeared on his body. That was the worst part. Veins, blood vein, frozen. To the demon beast, their powers were frozen. Not only that, at this moment, Transformers' mind was about to be frozen, and his brain was slowly freezing as well. As long as Meng Qian's sword descended, his body would shatter into ice crystal powder. Meng Qian said sinisterly, "You're not calling me anymore? Then go to hell." The condensed ice sword pierced down. In an instant, Transformers' body froze. Any force could shatter him. His heart tightened as he thought to himself, "Boss, I'm sorry." At this moment, just as the ice sword was about to stab onto Transformers' body, a purple figure fell. Boom. Kai Lina descended. Meng Qian's eyes turned sinister. Another one came to throw his life away. But, without waiting for him to finish speaking, Kai Lina spread out his wings and instantly protected the Transformers. Ha ha ha. Defense. Scum in front of me. Meng Qian laughed madly. He did not put Kai Lina in his eyes at all, as any form of defense was just a decoration in front of his ice attribute power. However, Kai Lina smiled slightly. The next second, disappeared, vanished. Chapter 2455 Demon Emperor Ascend. Chapter 2455 Demon Emperor Ascend. There was no sign. There were no energy waves. Just for an instant. In the blink of an eye, he had vanished for no apparent reason. Meng Qian's long sword pierced through empty space. More importantly, when he disappeared from the ice and amp, Coldfield, he could not feel any trace of movement at all. It was completely unexpected and he was completely unprepared. Meng Qian's heart sank. The faces of those people from the Meng clan who had rushed over changed drastically. What kind of cultivation technique is this? Never seen it before. He disappeared so suddenly. Even those with higher cultivation than him couldn't escape the control of young Master's Ice and Amp, Coldfield. What happened just now? Ice and Amp, Coldfield. It was Meng Qian's strongest move. This move. Even people with a cultivation higher than him wouldn't be able to escape. But he didn't even know how he did it. This made Meng Qian very unhappy. Long Fei's gaze darkened. Although he did not know how Kai Lina had done it, but he could immediately tell what this cultivation method was. Teleportation, spatial cultivation method. Moreover, it can be used in battle. Awesome. Could this be the power that came out of Kai Lina's cultivation after consuming the god powder? Indeed. It was as Long Fei expected. After a few seconds, boom. Kai Lina brought Transformers to stand beside Long Fei. Transformers also quickly recovered. He was also confused as he was suddenly brought into a space that looked like a space tunnel. When he landed, he looked at Kai Lina and immediately said, "Thank you." In Transformers' eyes, there was an additional hint of fear and respect for Kai Lina. Right now, he was very worried that Kai Lina would throw him into that space tunnel. Long Fei looked at Kai Lina and said, "A spatial movement technique? As long as I'm wrapped by your wings, I can teleport." Kai Lina looked at Long Fei with some shock and said, "More or less, but I have yet to completely master it and am unable to use it in a short period of time." Long Fei was a little envious, and said, "Amazing." He still had a god powder and he really wanted to take it. But, after all, he was not a demon beast, and he was not from a different race. Also, regardless of whether it was the spirit grass that refined this pellet, or the energy contained within, it was all much stronger than the Zhenwu continent. If he could decompose one or two types of healing pellets, then it might be able to help him refine the antidote for the limitless burning sword. Long Fei was always concerned about this matter. "It's out. Why did you go there? Oh my god, he directly destroyed the princess's Ice and Amp, Coldfield. This is too unbelievable. Ha ha ha." Because Ice and Amp, Coldfield Meng Qian had become the 18th disciple of the Demon Emperor, but now, Ice and Amp, Coldfield was actually broken. It's nothing more than that. Meng Qian's face was extremely ugly, his teeth were grinding so hard that crackling sounds could be heard. Looking at Long Fei, the killing intent in his eyes was extremely strong. Just as he was about to make his move, his father Meng Zhon walked up to him, along with the elders of the Meng family and the quickly gathering warrior of Meng clan. Meng Zhon asked, "Who are you? Why must you make life difficult for the Meng clan? Whoever it is, we have to find out. Moreover, Meng Zhon looked at the surrounding alien demons. These demon beasts were powerful. If they were to fight, his Meng family would not benefit much. Even if they managed to block it, the power of the Meng clan would be greatly reduced. The gains didn't make up for the losses. Smart people would always maximize the benefits and minimize the losses. No matter who Long Fei was, if they could stop it, the Meng family's vitality would not be harmed. Long Fei smiled faintly and said, "I am her bodyguard. Why do you have to go against your Meng clan?" "It's very simple. Because I'm here to steal the bride today." Heheet. Princess Sandmoon was slightly stunned. Meng Qian's expression became even uglier, and once again icier than before. "Bitch." Meng Zhon was shocked. "Snatch the bride? Do you know that our Meng family is a magic tribe? Do you know that my son is from 18 captains of Magic King? If you come to Meng City to steal the bride, do you think of the consequences? Even your human royal family, the Zhao family, would not dare to act so atrociously in Meng City. You have to consider the consequences. If you leave Meng City now, I can let bygones be bygones." Meng Qian's expression changed. Long Fei laughed. "It's fine if you want me to leave, but leave my woman to me." Meng Qian shouted sinisterly, "You're courting death." Long Fei laughed. "Then let's see who's courting death." The idea moved. In that instant, the surrounding alien monsters all rushed out, pouncing towards the warrior of Meng Clan S, frantically killing them. Warrior of Meng Clan was also doing his best to kill the alien demons. There were simply too many alien demons, and they were not afraid of death, nor did they care about the consequences. They only listened to Long Fei's orders, and if he did not say stop, they would definitely not stop. Help, help. Miserable screams rang out non-stop. Long Fei laughed. "Who wants to die?" He. Meng Qian's eyes were bloodshot and filled with extreme anger. The corners of Meng Zhon's eyes turned sinister as he said lightly, "Qianna, hand Princess Sandmoon over to him." Meng Qian glared at him and bellowed, "No. He's my woman, and even if I mess with him, she's still my woman. You want to steal from me?" Chapter 2456 Demon Emperor makes his move. Chapter 2456 Demon Emperor makes his move. 10,000 people knelt down and kowtowed. Meng Qian could not move. It was as if every part of his body was being covered by a powerful force from the seal, and even the ice on Princess Sandmoon's body was quickly melting. Long Fei looked up to the sky. He didn't know why. With just a glance, his heart was already in turmoil, and an unstoppable aura assaulted his mind. Powerhouse. Super powerhouse. The kind of powerhouse who stood at the peak of the continent. It could be said that the aura on his body, it was an existence that was even more powerful and vigorous than the aura on Master Yi Yorong's body. It was as if he was an incomparably huge ocean, an existence that was unshakable. This was a superior. Kai Lina's face darkened. She immediately took a step towards Long Fei, maintaining a distance that allowed her to move through space. Her heart was pounding. Could she protect Long Fei and bring Long Fei out of here before the Demon Emperor makes his move? Transformers also slightly moved. He also felt the formidable aura, strength, and unshakable strength of the Demon Emperor's body. However, he knew what he had to do. No matter how strong the Demon Emperor was, once he attacked, he had to protect his boss no matter what. Kai Lina slightly said, "This person is very strong." Transformers' eyes darkened as he started to gather his strength secretly. He tensed up and his body went into a state of extreme preparation. Demon Emperor. Lord Demon Emperor. Long live the Demon Emperor. Everyone paid their respects and cheered at the same time. Meng Qian's face was extremely ugly, but at this moment, he kneeled down as well and said with a heavy voice, "We pay our respects to the Demon Emperor." The Demon Emperor descended. Boom. A light hum sounded, and then, he looked at Long Fei and said indifferently, "Are you the human who came to snatch the marriage?" Transformers' body tensed up even more. Kai Lina immediately said in a low voice, "Later on, I will use my full strength in the spatial teleportation technique. Don't move recklessly. I can't guarantee you how far I can move either. I will do everything I can." Demon Emperor. Too strong. Kai Lina and Transformers could only fight to the death to protect Long Fei. However, at this moment, Long Fei took a step forward and said, "Yes, that's me." Meng Zhon walked forward with his head lowered and said, "My lord, I wonder what power this human used to summon so many demon beasts to attack our Meng city and cause so many people's death. He is provoking us. The humans are provoking us. Yes, Lord Demon Emperor, humans are far too greedy. A mere human dares to act so recklessly in our magic tribe's territory. Lord Demon Emperor, we cannot let him go." Elder Meng shouted. The surrounding people were all thinking in their hearts, "This time, that brat is finished." Meng Qian is the disciple of the Demon Emperor. So many people had died in Meng City, and now that the Demon Emperor has appeared, how could he possibly survive? Ha ha ha. It's all his fault, he's come to steal the marriage. Isn't it great to fight for it now? Ha ha ha. Many people in the crowd snickered. A pleased and cold smile hung on Meng Qian's face as he looked at Princess Sandmoon, and said sinisterly, "Just watch, he's about to die." Ha ha ha. Stealing a woman from me? Is he even worthy? He was extremely pleased with himself. With the Demon Emperor by his side, let alone Long Fei, even the old monster of the Zhao family, Zhao Chongshan, did not dare to move a muscle. The Demon Emperor swept his eyes over them. The surrounding alien demons were baring their fangs and brandishing their claws, frantically struggling. Because the moment the Demon Emperor fell, the alien demons were forcefully suppressed by a force and could not move at all. Furthermore, with their dry natures, even if they were stomped on, they were frantically struggling. The Demon Emperor looked at Long Fei again. "Brat, you came to Magic Tribe to steal the bride? You sure are bold." At this moment, Transformers and Kai Lina were extremely tense, like a bowstring filled with profound energy. They could collapse at any time, and they could shoot arrows at any time as well. However, Long Fei, maintained his composure, because a crazy, perverted idea began to form in his mind. If he could defeat the Demon Emperor, then how much experience would he have? Can you at least level up a few levels? Wow. He was a madman who went crazy whenever he saw a boss-level powerhouse. However, Long Fei had this thought: he did not dare take the initiative to attack. He did not know the true power of the Demon Emperor, so if it exceeded the limits of what he could endure, then he would just jump. Long Fei said, "Generally speaking, he is third in the world. How can I let a woman I like marry someone else? And she's even married to a gay man with a long young obsession." As soon as he finished, Meng Qian's face suddenly changed, his teeth chattering loudly. He stared straight at Long Fei with killing intent burning in his eyes, and said madly, "Say that again." Long Fei laughed. "You fella with the dragon young fetish, did you hear me clearly?" "No. The gay man with the dragon young mania. Do you hear me now?" Long Fei repeated herself again and again as he said disdainfully, "You bastard, there really are people like you in every world. Are you trying to attack me or are you going to suffer? From that girl's look, you must be enduring it, for your chrysanthemum must have turned into a sunflower, right?" Ah. Meng Qian went crazy. The cold yin aura on his body immediately rushed out crazily and shouted, "I'm going to kill you." His body charged forward. Buzz. Before he could rush forward, he was immediately blocked by a huge force. "I can't get out." The power of the Demon Emperor. The Demon Emperor didn't do anything. He only controlled his aura to form a barrier, instantly blocking Meng Qian's attack, who was at the peak of the arrogant form. This power, the power of the true martial great emperor's boundary, was too strong. Long Fei was shocked. It's beyond imagination. Second level Ghost King. Long Fei's confidence wavered a little. He had originally wanted to use the second-level Ghost King to fight against the Demon Emperor, but now it seemed that he might not be his opponent. If the second-level Ghost King was not his opponent, then he could only use one move, Underworld Fire. However, he still could not control the Underworld Fire at all, and had not even cultivated to the edge of the Underworld Fire. Long Fei's mind shrunk, and he thought to himself, the Emperor Zhen Wu's realm is much stronger than what I imagined. Meng Qian was blocked, and he looked like a wild beast going mad. The constant attacks. However, the demon emperor did not spare him another glance. He looked at Long Fei and said, "You're here to snatch the bride. Stealing my disciple's blood? With your cultivation at the first stage of arrogant form? With this war beast of heaven stage by your side? Or is it someone who knows a bit about spatial teleportation? Or is it your golden protector level demon beast?" While he was speaking, the alien demons let out deep growls. The alien king roared even more ferociously, with 70 to 80,000 heads of alien demons going crazy, but in that instant, the demon emperor's gaze swept across the surrounding alien demons. His eyes narrowed slightly and a bright light flashed. At this moment, rumble, rumble, rumble. Meng City. All the alien demons exploded and died in an instant. You're tuning in to the Celestial War YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories,